Honestly, shocking. Like, no
pints,
no
dirty glasses, don't even realize what whiskey actually drink.
And those are
Dogs everywhere. With such high expectations, this place that just hasn't lived up to everybody. No pints to be had anyway.
That's something to
We're not up to Brits, are we?
Service was bad, right? Like the pints were there. There's no pints.
No pints.
What kind of hotel is this like?
We've had intro music and there's still no pints.
We've had bad sound, no pints, dirty glasses.
It's a bad job when we have no pints, no whiskey, no clean glasses, and the audio's away already. We haven't even got to 2 minutes in yet.
Honestly, it's a recipe for disaster. Tonight's going to be an absolute disaster.
How well?
We can take
that
sound away. Here he comes.
There he is.
Good man.
Not bad, met me with any of your shot. I mean, for God's sake.
You haven't even got your own pints.
Oh no, I have one there. I
You got one
started already.
there. Okay.
I'm 12 pints deep.
Here's one I made earlier.
Good evening. Welcome.
Hi everyone.
How are you all? Welcome. Hi everybody.
Let's
Welcome.
make sure we've got our audio right now. They're questioning our poor sound setup.
Darth Barry's
Can you
back
hear us
again.
now? Can you hear us better now? I think you probably can.
Testing 176.
Tell us.
JJ Sheehy's in the house.
Yes.
All right. We've got folks joining us from all over America. Ohio, Indiana, Florida, New York. Jeff Timmy's starting with a bit of Waterford Belly Bannon peated. What have you got in your glass? Tell us what you've got. We've got Guinness, creamy Guinness.
Creamy pints.
Right, lovely creamy pints.
Sláinte.
Cheers.
Woo! It's not bad, is it, when you sort of have your own pub and you can do these things, is it really?
No.
It's a cracker pint.
We are here in JJ Sheehy's pub in Dundalk, home to Anthony and Katie Sheehy.
Yeah.
Who live underneath the bar there, just behind the taps.
Down in there.
Yeah. A few sleeping bags underneath the taps.
The kegs keep us warm. Oh no, cold.
We're coming to you live from Dundalk. We are on the road for good reason. We're getting the three of us together. I'm joined tonight by Anthony Sheehy, who is our host, our kind host tonight, and Lauren McMullan, who's joining us as another co-host. And Lauren is the manager of Whiskey Experiences for us at our newly formed Irish Whiskey Experiences, which we'll be talking more about tonight. We'll be having the crack. We have connected up a fresh keg of Guinness, which holds 88 pints, and we won't be, maybe 90 depending on the run, but we won't be leaving here till that keg is empty.
I think we can do that. I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
It could be tough. It could be a tough
That's
night.
the first time Anthony's heard of that. So
Actually, do you know what? We were just laughing about it, joking. So the pub is cleared. I know everybody's sort of going, licensing laws, you can't be serving to the public. The pub is cleared. As you
There's
see,
nobody here.
There is nobody here.
I mean, 20 minutes ago, this place was hiving.
Jamming.
Literally,
and
wall to wall.
I just sort of said, right, in my polite tone, which is now, please vacate the premises.
People were throwing chairs at them.
Yes, there was
broken glasses.
There was nearly a riot.
There was
But we were joking about if the Gardaí happened to be driving past and they do see the lights on of us filming in here, wouldn't it be great crack if we got raided?
Great crack.
And the Gardaí are the police in Ireland.
Yeah.
If
I
they
think
come by,
that would go down in history as one of the best shebeens, I would say.
because the shebeen isn't supposed to exist, and technically we're not supposed to exist here right now.
Exactly. It's an illegal, an illicit gathering of alcohol to be consumed.
Although no money changed hands because we're not paying you.
I bet that.
We'll have a bar tab on the way out tomorrow. Like
There'll be an invoice waiting for us when we get home.
Exactly. So the food has to go on it. The whiskey,
bed and breakfast.
The bed and breakfast.
Pints.
No, actually, about the breakfast, I did mean to mention that. Hope yous are vegetarians, because there's a bit of lettuce.
An old grilled tomato.
Yeah.
That'll
And a bit of
do
lettuce.
me, that's fine.
Does an egg count as
Oh, yeah.
for vegetarians?
No, But it's not pescatarian.
No, it's not. Eggs aren't vegan.
Are they not?
No.
They're vegan, but they're not vegetarian.
They're not
No, they're not vegan. They're not vegan.
They
You're
come
right.
from
You're right.
an
You're right.
Okay,
You're right.
right. I'll cook his breakfast. Then give it up.
Okay. We'll have a bacon sandwich.
The only thing is, I have to be in the office at 7:30 in the morning.
We'll be finished here by then.
Yeah, to be dead on.
So those idiot pints will just be running out at about 7, so you're alright.
Yeah, I'll have to send the taxi.
All right. If you've joined us for the first time here, we're sorry. We apologise for this setup.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about. We have some kind of structure. Lauren has prepared a 15-minute monologue that she's going to deliver for us on peace on our island, which she's looking forward to sharing with us.
We thought it appropriate. That we
thought it appropriate
to the
to-
board up.
How did we start that earlier? We're 1 mile from the border.
We are literally 1 mile, less than 1 mile. From
You
the
may
border.
hear noises.
Settle down.
We're not
All Hallions up here.
So we're going to bring politics and religion into it tonight. No,
Yes.
No, we're not.
So-
We're not. No.
what we're going to do is we want to talk about whiskey tourism. We want to talk about the rise of whiskey tourism and visitors to Ireland. Many of you are visitors to Ireland for whiskey tourism, and many of you are going to be, especially when we get our hands on you, because we want you to come here and taste the whiskey. And we're going to talk about what we're doing to help bring people to Ireland, or we hope to do, and what we're going to do to help people in Ireland get closer to the places that make the whiskey and the people that make the whiskey. We'll dive into that in a little bit. Before we do that, go on.
I think it's appropriate that we're on your sheepy, Barry,
Go on.
because this is where it all began.
Yeah.
Me and you were on. I don't even know what we were talking about. I don't know what that night show was supposed to
I
be
know
about.
when it was. It was St. Patrick's Day last year.
It was?
Yeah, it was like
It was?
that.
And
Yeah.
we were probably half a keg deep of alcohol at that stage into it.
You were well leathered.
And somebody
Wow.
suggested coming over to visit the distillery, and my bright idea was, shall I put this all in the bus and we'll drive around and it'll be great.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, little did we know then what we know now.
Now, bear in mind, at that time, we committed notionally to a 2-week bus tour around Ireland. Like,
And
with ambulances and horses.
anybody who was on Whiskey Bus Ones, I think, realised 2 weeks would have been a stretch. It was full on. It was a brilliant experience.
That is a great reminder. I'd forgotten about that it started on the Shebeen/Lock-in at the time, I think.
Yeah.
And the mad idea for a whiskey bus,
Yeah.
which is where this whole Irish whiskey experiences thing we're going to talk about came from originally. So yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah,
it was.
absolutely.
Not you, Lauren, you weren't there.
Yeah, you were a mere
Go on, let's do cheers.
you were a mere spectator. But as I say, we talked about the idea of people coming over. The next morning there was emails and communications from people saying, how do we sign up? We love the idea of doing something like that. And
Yeah.
we went, let's see if we
Let's
can
do
pull
it.
it off. And it was, tentatively we looked into it and we went, actually,
It could
this
be done.
Work.
It
Yeah,
could be done.
this could work. And it did. And it was
Hired a tour company, fired a tour company, decided to
it was
run it
so-
ourselves.
Did yourself.
It really was. It was such a learning curve for us because again, neither of us, it was not our forte per se.
No,
but
no.
we just got into it and it just
Yeah.
I mean, being part of it, obviously, at the time when you brought it to Bushmills, you played a blinder, both
Yeah.
of you. Like
You-
with the
it's when I
time,
knew
with
what
the
we were
time.
at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. With the time frame you had to pull it off and what you did in that.
Well, everyone had so much whiskey inside them, they thought we were doing a good job.
That was
But
the
before
key.
we talk about whiskey experiences, really quickly, I want to just touch on this very briefly. But this is the first time we're showing you our Stories and Sips Dunville's whiskey live. And you saw videos during the week, I think, from Ecklinville Distillery of the labelling. That's thanks to Lauren, who was on site in Ecklinville shooting a little video.
behind the scenes. at
Behind
that
the
time.
I didn't even see the bottle till today. Like Lauren brought a bottle from the distillery to me, and so it's the first time seeing a bottle, a Stories and Sips bottle from Dunville's, which we're very excited about. We're not going to open it. We're not going to drink it until you all get your bottles, and that's all down to this man here who has to get you the bottles, which is going to start next week. They're going to come from
7:30
Ecklinville
tomorrow morning.
tomorrow morning. He's walking to Ecklinville Distillery
With the pallet on my
and a
back.
wheelbarrow. And then he's going to get them out to the United States and Ireland and Spain and everywhere else they're going. But this is the first time we've got it in our hands, and it's a beauty. It's an absolute beauty. So nice to see the Stories and Sips name on it. And Anthony was very instrumental throughout all of this behind the scenes, logistics wise, and helping us get this to the table. And Lauren there of late, after she left Bushmills, because we couldn't get her doing anything while she was working with Bushmills. But once she left, she popped up to Ecklinville and shot some videos for us and helped a bit with the labelling. So maybe a three-way effort there to get this to the table. So
Also Jarlath as well. Like
Jarlath,
he
of
showed me
course.
the whole way around it. Yeah, absolute gent.
It must be a huge sense of pride for you.
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. For a
It's
community
unbelievable.
that's unbelievable. But for a community that it started off to be, to have this and the support that it has been. It's sold out now, I believe. As well.
sold out,
Sold out.
completely gone,
I think it's fantastic.
I mean,
and the green label also.
green label. So
The Donville's green labels are just
Green-
absolutely
and the green
beautiful.
label
Yeah.
is reserved for those single locations that have what Jared calls the top 1% of our liquid
Yeah.
goes for the green label. And so this qualified, it being us as a single location, but also
Yeah, your
quality.
signature
Your
on it as
signature.
well.
and my
yeah.
signature. Yeah, first time my signature's on a bottle, which is amazing. Don't be using that now for checks or opening accounts or anything. But it's amazing. I remember seeing the first green label I ever saw was the Palace Bars green label, because I think that might have been the first green
It
label.
was, yeah.
And I remember looking at it going, that's the most luxurious looking bottle I've ever seen. I just thought, like, standing on a shelf, it was just so beautiful looking.
Pops.
Never thought in my wildest dreams we'd have a whiskey club that would have one. So kudos to everyone in the club. That
And again, I don't know if you can see it, just the raised of the detailing on the
Yeah.
bottle label itself.
you can hold it a bit closer. To
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
There you go.
when the light catches it, it really does show. And I don't know, actually, I'll come over a wee bit. I don't know if you can see there the
That's
way
in
it
focus now,
rotates.
is it?
Bit there, yeah.
You can just see the detailing on the label itself and the gold lettering around where it says Irish whiskey. It's just
That's
a
great.
gorgeous bottle.
And a nice little tube, a wee tube for the.
So, congratulations.
A wee
Thank you. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
it's unbelievable.
So thank you to everyone who.
We will be starting shipping, I estimate, midweek. People will get their notifications when it is in transit to them.
Okay.
And, hopefully it'll be all done and dusted and gone from us by the end of this week, because I've a minor technical detail of an auction to run as well.
You do have a side business called an auction house. When you're not pulling pints.
Yeah, well, I'm not pulling points. You just come in tonight and you've seen the bar was
It
packed
was
when you come in.
all packed.
You
honestly.
couldn't 10 minutes ago, folks.
Yeah.
You couldn't if you fell down here, you wouldn't hit the ground.
Yeah.
Like, there's that many
we
people.
barely found 2 seats at the bar earlier when we came in. Like, it was just wall to wall people, which is brilliant
Yeah.
to see, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
especially for where you are. You're in the middle of nowhere.
It's
So-
not the middle.
It is the middle.
It is the middle of nowhere.
It-
Lads, we're in the middle of nowhere
It is
here.
the middle
It's
of
called
nowhere.
It's not.
Ballybeyond.
It's just out the road, up the hill
It's
a wee
the
bit.
We've no whiskey in our glasses, right?
Right.
We're not opening this one yet because we're waiting for you all to drink it with us. But I did
Okay.
bring another Dunville's
Okay.
with me, and it's another green label that we're going to drink, and it's from the friend at hand, a 21-year-old Oloroso and PX cask finish, which we're going to sip on, which is one of my favorite Dunville's that has been released.
Yep.
I know we're going to try a few tonight.
We are.
We have a few more behind us. Anthony's got about 47 bottles on standby.
Yeah.
I don't think you can actually see them, but they're there.
Just in case, yeah. There's now there's a Redbreast 27 now, Barry, if you want it.
Listen, we'll get to it.
There's I don't
They're the
know,
needful there.
Jameson 21. Bit heavy-handed there, Barry.
No, jeez.
Is that too much?
Yeah, well, look at me.
Well, we're here until 7 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah,
you
Well, we
may-
have to be here till he gets to the office at 7:30. Whatever's in your glass, let us know. But sláinte,
Ooh, sláinte.
cheers
Yep. To your head.
to your
To
health,
everybody head.
and hoping to see you here soon.
Absolutely.
Ah, it's unbelievable. This
Ah.
one.
It is just
That's
a
gorgeous.
fantastic whiskey.
Gorgeous.
The balance of those 2 sherry casks, and there's
They
such
really-
kind
Look
of
at the legs
handy-
on that as
yeah.
well. You probably can't even see it on camera.
You're not that tall, Laura. Oh, the glass. Sorry, the whiskey. Sorry, I missed that part. Sorry.
It's a struggle for me to get up on these stools.
It is actually. We
I
need
took
to
a
have
small step ladder for
Yeah.
me to actually get up
We need to
here.
give you a wee.
That's why the
jockey up.
camera is raised so high for my benefit.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can give you a wee jockey up. Isn't that the word? Yeah, jockey up.
She's wearing boots as well that are like this 8-inch heels,
Yeah. So my.
and she's got 14 cushions under her.
I'm actually sitting on a baby seat.
We took her out of a pint glass earlier to put her on the seat. Well,
You came. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
welcome, Lauren.
Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you.
You decided to come on board with this crazy madcap idea we had.
I did, yeah. I mean, I think when I was in Bushmills, it took maybe a year or so for me to realise just how serious the whiskey tourism business actually was, and that people genuinely do come from all parts of the world to experience Irish whiskey. And I genuinely didn't realise how big of a market it actually was until I was in the distillery. And then obviously over the years, when I physically moved out of the distillery into Proximo, who obviously own Bushmills as the BA, as many of you know, and that's how I met many of you. And then I met these two Hallions, and just they're. I mean, I'm gonna bring you up.
Tell us
here.
how amazing
I'm
we
gonna
are.
bring you up here. But
Stop, Lauren. Stop.
I'm gonna regret saying this.
Well,
The passion
that's
and the
how
drive.
good we are.
The passion and the drive that these two had for a market in Ireland which is relatively still unexplored. I mean, you have such a well-established market in the US for like the Bourbon Trail, for example. Scotland, you've got Islay, which is essentially a whiskey hub on its own and a tourism hub on its own for people coming to visit the distilleries there. And it just wasn't really a thing in Ireland. And then when the whiskey bus happened, it kind of opened my eyes to what was possible. And 9 months down the line, here we are, essentially, with Irish whiskey experiences. So,
well, me and Anthony always said, I think we said it individually and maybe collectively, Lauren, come on over and work with us.
I mean, that was going on for about a year, I would say. Well, no, maybe not a year. I would say probably the end of last year.
Well, we always had the crack, and
We did,
you were,
we did.
I know, I speak for our community of Stories and Sips, you were so generous of your time and so generous with the crack, and just with your help and input into what we've been doing over the last year. We've always enjoyed working together. And then I remember saying to Anthony, because we were talking about, like, we knew we had to hire somebody for the whiskey bus. We couldn't do it physically ourselves. And we talked about different people. And I said, Anthony, here's one for you, Lauren. And he said, really? Like, would she leave?
Yeah,
Would she
You
not?
never thought you'd get me out of Bushmills.
That was, I genuinely
Yeah.
had not reservations. There wasn't that reservations, but it was such, and I have to applaud you. I love the confidence that you've shown in us. I love the confidence that you've shown in the whiskey industry, is to make a leap like that from a well-established job. I mean, again, you were Bushmills Lauren to a lot of people, and people would have known you as that. So to have the confidence in us two, and knowing that we could try and put something together that suited, but again, I think that the role was nearly built for you. I mean, you have a persona that's transcended the brand that you were in. But there's a few people in the whiskey industry like that, that literally they're a persona in their own entity, in their own right.
And we couldn't get them. So
we had to settle for second best. I mean, again,
they weren't available.
They weren't available, and but I mean,
that's it. It is. I mean, it is a massive leap. But I'm a firm believer in, when something is presented to you, it's for a reason, and you just know in your heart when it's the right time to go for something. And I think what you guys have done long before I came on board, you're jumping on the back of something that isn't being done currently. So, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me, really.
Yeah, and I think there's so many opportunities. I mean, there's not a time when the three of us aren't together or in a call or in a conversations. I mean, me and Barry have explored this so many times since Whiskey Bus 1. Talking about, like, what else is out there, what else can you do, and there's nothing. There's no. I don't
think there's a ceiling.
No, I really
exists.
don't. I think people are keen these days for an experience. They're looking for that little bit extra.
And
they're looking for that something.
Exactly, and what we noticed as well, even when I was still with Bushmills, after kind of the post-pandemic, people didn't want to just go out to a bar and sit and drink pints or drink whiskey. They wanted something above that. They wanted that whole package of...
Hang on. I think people should still go to bars.
They should still go to
come
bars.
to pubs and bars.
We'll come on to that later. But they did want something that was kind of above that. They want to make the people, they want to go deeper than the label, deeper than what's in their glass, and they want kind of a show around the liquid itself. And I mean, what better opportunity than...
Well, it's the crack economy that I've always maintained, is where we don't drink whiskey just to drink whiskey. We don't drink whiskey just to get drunk. Well, some people do, but the community I know we've organized around and that is built up around what we're all doing, I think is interested a bit more. And the greatest crack, the greatest fun I've ever had with whiskey is when like-minded, funny, interesting, curious people all get together around a glass or around a bottle. Quickly, the whiskey's almost forgotten as we start telling stories about other things. We start having the crack together, and the whiskey bus is the perfect personification of that.
Yeah,
because you're in one transportation vehicle for a few hours, maybe in a day or half hour in a day, but you get to hang out together and tell all these great stories. Whiskey is the vehicle and the catalyst.
Yeah.
I think it's the same now with these whiskey experiences that we're trying to roll out and that we will roll out over the next few months. I think we said it in our press release, which is we think whiskey is more than the liquid in the glass.
Yeah.
It's the stories, it's the people, it's the places. And that's not something that the distilleries and the brands always have the time, the resources to be able to put things together.
No.
So can we help do it for them?
Yeah.
Again, I knowing from what I know from seeing the industry, they're so geared for the volume, the mass market out there, that sometimes the bespoke gets lost. And I think that's where the opportunity for us lies, in that you can create these through the channels that we have, through the contacts we have. It's great to be able to talk to these brands directly and have engagement with them, and then go, well, look, wouldn't it be great if we could do X or Y or Z? I mean, that's how probably most of the events from Whiskey Bus Ones began. It was literally a conversation of going, do you think? And then it gets flashed out to more, but it usually starts off with a phone call. Listen, I have a mad idea.
But you know what's interesting about that to me is, and it's obvious in retrospect why it's so easy for us to maybe get brands on board or distilleries on board, is because they see the value in the interested consumer coming to their door. Yeah. So when we picked up the phone, I know the first Whiskey Bus, we weren't sure were brands going to be open to it, interested in it. I knew we had Bushmills on board because we had said to Lauren and Alex, here's our idea, and they said, we'll take care of you, and we kind of built off the back of that. We always knew it had to be a Bushmills geared trip because of Lauren and Alex. And then since then, so for Whiskey Bus 2 and Whiskey Bus 3, that's already in planning right now, those phone calls have been so easy, haven't they? Like, you've been on the calls.
Yeah, so and you know what it is, and you agree with me on this because we've had this conversation before, it's that little bit of friendly competition, which does no harm at all. You're like, well, this brand did this for us last year, so what are you going to do? And in the nicest way possible, it works. Because it gets them to think outside the box, I
think the great example of that, and I don't think anyone will mind me sharing it, but Bushmills has been so kind to us in Stories and Sips and our community in giving time, not just with the Whiskey Bus. We did some behind the scenes events late at night like this, live stream from the distillery, going back almost 2 years, year and a half ago. And I remember after that event, teeing up an event down in Middleton to do a late night live stream with Kevin O'Gorman, master distiller. Yeah. And by the end of it, he said, that was better than Bushmills, isn't it? Because he wanted to make sure, can we do one better? But they're all great friends, all the masters and the distillers, the blenders. They've all worked with each other. They're all great friends, but they're all wondering, how can we do more? And the winner is the consumer. Like, the winner is the guest. The guest wins at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the brands too benefit from that, and we've seen that again from last year, that the brands that are actively engaged with consumers directly really benefit the most. And people are still talking about the experience they had with Ecklenville in particular, with Bushmills. They really sing highly.
This came out of it.
I
sat beside Jared on a Whiskey Bus.
Shortcross.
You're right about the brands who went above and beyond, but it was the follow up as well. It was like that engagement after the Whiskey Bus. The brands who were posting in Irish Whiskey Fans of America, Stories and Sips Facebook page, and so on. It was those brands that benefited the most. And like I've said to both of you, me and Alex noticed such an increase in posts of Bushmills, personal tags for us, just all the engagement just skyrocketed after that Whiskey Bus. So
but that's the challenge too. I mean, you just have to be willing to put yourself out there for it, particularly the brand owners yourselves. It is that is the challenge. But again, we think that the Irish Whiskey Experience business is putting directly. It's not a marketing ploy. It's literally you get to meet the people. You get to meet Alex. You get to meet Jarlath. You get to meet Kevin O'Gorman. You get to meet these people, and literally the whites of their eyes, and you can see all of them, everybody who's involved in the industry. The minute they start talking about it, it's just their passion.
100%.
And that's what. And I think the experiences that we're creating will remove them barriers, the natural barriers that is there, instead of an advertisement or something.
That's it. And the thing is, like, if a normal public tour, if someone walked in off the streets in Bushmills or Ecklenville or whatever, asked for what you were able to get on Whiskey Bus, they would be like, no,
Yeah.
like who are
Yeah,
you
who
sort of thing. Like that just it does
So it's a
not
rare
happen.
kind of trifecta,
Yeah.
really. Like,
Yeah.
Now we can go, who are you? And you go, "Shit, I'm Lauren.
I'm Whiskey Lauren.
You know,
So, like, if you just joined us and you've not ever heard from us before, you've luckily avoided us for many years. But we've like come from 3 different areas of the whiskey industry to put together a whiskey experiences business to bring more tourism, more foot traffic, more interest, more people to the brands, to the distilleries, to the places, and the people that make the whiskey that we love. Like Anthony from his background with Irish Whiskey Auctions, Lauren from her background almost a decade at Bushmills, and mine from running Stories of Sips Whiskey Club over the past few years. We've all come at it from slightly different angles, different contacts, different approaches, and suddenly realizing we all fill a gap that the other can't fill. Like we're all
it really is.
very synergistic. And so what we're trying to do is, and you'll see the link up on the screen there, irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. What we're trying to do is introduce, like Anthony said, ways to get access, to go deeper, to meet the people. Like if you've got an interest in whiskey, it's not for everyone. It's not for people who just want to shoot whiskey at the bar. Like that, there's a place for that. But I know lots of you want to understand, and have become incredibly connected to the people because you've met them for a half hour, you've heard them speak, like Anthony said, you've heard their passion. So what we're hoping to do over the next year is roll out dozens of experiences over the next year that you could spend a few hours doing, or you could spend 7 days doing, or longer, who knows. And there'll be something for different budgets, there'll be something for different times, durations, there'll be something for different interests, there'll be things that will be time specific, like on a certain date there'll be a thing, there'll be things that could be available, maybe there's 3 of them available from a distillery in a year. Yep. And when they're gone, and they could be based on when you're ready to buy it, they're ready to do it. And there's just, we're only scratching the surface. Like there's so much that's coming.
That's been the challenge for us. It's actually been trying to sort of go, right, let's not overload this initially at the start. Let's sort of see if we can pick a half dozen, a dozen of what we think can be our start off package. But at the end of this, the truth of the matter is we can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somebody comes to us and say, look, I'd like to try and do this, or do you think you could facilitate this, or do you think you can help with organising this?
Yeah.
I mean, we constantly see it, particularly on social media, of people, I'm coming to Ireland, I'd like to do such and such. Or even what we're seeing an awful lot of is the people within Ireland as well, sort of going, you know, I'd love to be able to do a whiskey bus, but I couldn't do the 7 days. And we're going, well, right, actually, there is a market there for a 3-day, 4-day experience and come on board with us. And that's something we're keen to grow as well.
That's it. And we even said, you know, even if someone is coming over to Ireland, say for a week, but maybe in a certain area, they're not quite sure what distilleries are available, what kind of attractions are available, we could also step in for a portion of your own break as well. As you said, 2 to 3 days. Whatever, absolutely.
So we've got the whiskey bus coming up in August. So this all started from one, like Anthony said earlier, one whiskey bus idea, a mad idea. A few days after that mad idea, we met again and realized, no, 2 weeks is lunacy. We can't do 2 weeks. But we settled on this idea for a week-long whiskey bus. That took place in August last year. And I see some of you here tonight that were on that whiskey bus. Greg, Cheryl, a few more of you there, Brian. And we had an amazing week where we said up front, we're not tour professionals, but we're going to move heaven and earth to bring in the best people in the whiskey industry to show you a great time. And where we drop the ball, you let us know and we'll make it better next time. I think we learned a lot in the first week.
I think actually you could have just paused at the we're not professionals, tourism professionals, would have been the definition of 5 ways. So we were all a little bit delicate after a night here in Dundalk. We were here until late. Everybody went back to the hotel. We were all feeling a little bit ropey, and we were 3 days into the tour at that stage. So it was
16 distilleries to go.
Teelings had really set the high standards, I think, where we had 9 cask strength whiskies before 1 o'clock in the day.
Mad.
And so we sort of went, okay, we better just taper this down. So Barry said, look, we'll get some Lucozade and some protein bars. And I said, we'll just
triage
a shop en route, we can go in there. Well, there happened to be an off license.
Oh, I know. Was that first and last?
It was down at 5 Ways. And they literally, it was like something out of a riot because the bus just emptied.
You made the mistake of saying, if anybody wants to get off the bus for 2 minutes, I said, don't let them off the bus. Don't let them off. He said, "Oh, come back in 5 minutes." An hour later, we're still waiting for people to check out at the off license.
Somebody walked back onto the bus with a blue spot, and that was it.
Oh, I thought
Everybody
it was
went.
gold.
Was it gold?
Was it
No, was
gold? No.
I can't remember.
No, I think it was blue. I think it was blue.
Well, there was red. There was Jameson 21s being found. There was, I don't know. People were just picking things up because they were.
I think it was gold spot. I remember it was somebody got gold. Yeah, I remember you telling me the story.
So to say that we're not tourism professionals, I think would be offensive.
Now, to our credit, and I'm the first to give credit, we gave out gold spot. It was gold spot. We gave out surveys at the end, and we said, "Oh God, what are they going to say?"
Yeah.
And we just said, "Look, tell us what would be better." And we got the most amazing feedback of what really worked for people, of how we could improve it. We didn't get anything that led us to think this was a bad idea. Instead, we got ideas on, how you could space your time, what people loved, what people didn't love, and that was amazing feedback. So we took that immediately. We read that, and then we put it away and we went to sleep for 2 weeks because we just needed a rest. But then we came back to it
I
later.
only joined for 2 days. It nearly killed me, so we kind of went to 1 week's like.
So then we said, what would the next thing look like? And we thought, well, we'll take all these suggestions and all the contacts that we have, and we'll figure out what Whiskey Bus 2 looks like, and that sold out in, was it a day or 2 days or less? 13 hours. 14 hours sold out. And that's coming in this August.
And again, the initially, the people that were on Whiskey Bus 1, were keen to come back. And again, I suppose that's testament to the not altogether terrible job that we did in Whiskey Bus 1.
Well, that's a comment here from Jim, is that what made it, I think the fact that you were also approachable made it very fun.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that's what we
there's
take.
no airs and graces.
No,
It
there
is
is
exactly.
no.
You get what you see, and again, I suppose both of us, I think where me and you would have the commonality, and now Lauren, thank God, is that it's not about what's in this for us. We actually just, the more people we can get engaged in Irish whiskey, the better it is for everybody. I mean, even something like, I often talk to people about, how about the rising tide, and I said, like, the couriers, we're actually getting 2 couriers calling to us every day now. So there's a portion of a job created there.
Yeah.
There's the staff now, there's the additional staff, support staff that's in Irish Whiskey Auctions now. They're spending their money locally. It just creates employment, and it just grows, and it mushrooms, and it just comes out and out and out. And hopefully
Cruise legs.
our final dinner, we're there actually.
I was there,
You seem to be sneaking into a lot of
Wherever there was
these places.
something free to be had.
Yeah, that's
a free
it.
hotel night, free meal.
That's it.
Lauren popped up.
No, she did carry her own weight. She did buy pints. There was a line of pints in.
If Troy, I don't know if Troy is on here, but the whiskey busters who were in the Crown Bar, remember the line of Guinness?
But you were saying that I wasn't there. I was there.
Yeah, but you both Irish goodbye, don't we?
We did.
You
No,
did.
we-
you
we-
did.
We were just avoiding you, Lauren. We
We
were
stuck in there. We stuck in there.
No, you're no.
we were fed up of
You contributed. You did well. You
Listen, if there was a crack to be had in Belfast, I was there.
But anyhow, I said that hopefully the one thing that I get out of this is that we're sending away 30-odd whiskey ambassadors for Irish whiskey, that they're going away and they're going to tell people what a great experience they had, that the whiskey's great, and they're telling the world, and they're still talking about it.
And you know what's amazing from all of that? 60% of the people on Whiskey Bus 1 are coming back for Whiskey Bus 2.
That says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I always said.
Or a glutton for punishment.
Or there's just
Glutton for
such
crack.
poor choice of vacations out there that really, where else could we go except
Gluttons for crack. No, that's what I always said. Like any person I spoke to, obviously going back in my BA days, I'm talking about like it was 5 years ago.
When you were young.
When I was young, you did want everyone you spoke to become an ambassador for Irish whiskey. Didn't matter what brand it was. If they liked one brand, whatever brand, you wanted them to be an ambassador for Irish whiskey, and that's how you recruit other people into the realm and into drinking whiskey itself. Like
you're a great man for the pints.
you're well man for pints.
I'm work. Go get yourself another one.
Is that all right? Can I go in behind my own
Go
barrel?
on, listen, tap one of your kegs there.
But we were saying earlier, you were saying about the experiences thing. What I love and what I love seeing
That's not bad.
the shtick.
That's a shtick.
The shtick.
Rick raises a good point, which is that by the end, so last year we didn't know anything about timings, about what could fit in, about what was a good quantity of things to do. So we had 9 distilleries, 16 pubs, Yeah,
Was
7
it
days,
16 pubs?
63 pours of whiskey.
Yes.
And let's remember the last day when we got to Shorecross, Regemin Estate Distillery, which was the last morning. About 60% of the bus,
Didn't make it.
60% were
No,
there.
because I
right?
absolutely destroyed them all in the Duke of York.
Some people still stayed in bed in the Europa Hotel in Belfast. And we said, right, we're going to Shorecross. They've been so kind to us. And the people getting off the bus that morning at Shorecross, God love you all. I was one of them included. We all looked like death warmed up. But we said, we're going to do it. And we went in there. We had the most amazing experience that led to us getting our own cask of whiskey filled
Yeah.
and us releasing a whiskey for our whiskey club.
Yeah.
And we had the most amazing discovery of an orange cask peated whiskey, which we'd never heard of before. So we learned a lot about timings, about where we can fit things, and experiences like
We were going to try 3 distilleries in one
one
day, at one
day.
stage.
Yeah. And
And we
Anthony was very diplomatically. He didn't tell me we can't do it. He kept asking me, "Are you sure this is a good thing?"
It's a lot, like, yeah.
So this year we're kind of balancing out with more experiences, a little bit of downtime, a little bit of free time, but we're not taking the foot off the crack pedal.
Anybody want a
By the
pint?
way, how many pints, folks? Anyone want a
Anybody
pint?
want a pint?
Anybody want pints?
62 pints of Guinness there, please.
Can't promise it will have a nice creamy head by the time it gets to you. But,
Ah,
I mean, it has to go across.
they're fantastic pints. Don't be saying that.
Has to travel to the US. So
Oh, right, sorry, that was. Jesus.
that's what I meant.
That was gonna be a-
Not from the bar to here, don't
Right,
I?
okay.
This year, one of the things we're doing, which I'm very excited about, is we're creating space for our Irish whiskey community to join us on the whiskey bus, which is at one of our events especially, and we might have a chance at a couple of others. But when we were planning this, so our whiskey bus number 2 goes to Cork.
Yes.
Woo! And it's called the Road to Cork.
We're
Yes.
not going to hear the end of this.
No.
As a proud Cork man, I put in my time giving Anthony access to Dundalk on whiskey bus number 1.
We won the first round.
We did.
And who was first?
We did, yeah.
Was magnanimous enough to give you the round 1. I allowed you.
I like
Anyway, we're going to Cork, and one of the events we had originally billed was on a boat.
You can get your shots before you go.
Listen, you don't need shots to go to Cork. You just need to change your currency.
I'm starting to learn the lingo.
Langer bucks.
Yeah.
So one of our events was going to be Bushmills on a boat, and then we discovered that we had to take that Lauren was
We
going
had
to
to
be
rebrand
no longer at
slightly.
Bushmills. So we have an event which we're inviting Irish whiskey people to join us, a limited number of spaces, about 25, to join us, which is now called
Lauren on the Lee.
The River Lee takes you down from Cork City down to Cork Harbour. I will note it's important. It's not Lauren in the Lee. If it's Lauren
It
in the
might
Lee,
be.
something has gone horribly
It
wrong.
might be.
So it's Lauren on the Lee. Lauren's going to lead a whiskey tasting on a Cork Harbour cruise.
Will you remember how to do a whiskey tasting?
No, I don't think I will by that stage. I'll have to practice beforehand. But I'm taking whiskies from Barry's collection, so I'm going to bring all the good stuff.
It's all right. You're paying for them.
That's all
She
right.
had her eye on something called Mizanara, a 33-year-old or something. I don't know. Method of Madness 28. I don't know. I've never heard these things.
Have a side by side with all 3.
Yeah,
All
that's
the
it.
method of madness and sort of see.
So we're going to have a bit of crack in Cork, and there's a few things we can talk about as we go through the night. But one thing I want to bring up is, so obviously I'm a proud Cork man. I'm a proud.
How many times are we going to hear this tonight?
When we cross over the border from Waterford into Cork, we'll give you all Cork football jerseys to wear. You'll all be wearing red and white as you go through Cork.
Same colour as Loud, actually, strangely enough. There's synergy if there was ever one.
Funny, one of my nearest
Just change the
promoting
sponsor.
clubs is red and white as well, so yeah, interesting.
Right, that's people can use red and white in different places. Like,
No, the way you go on is where you had the monopoly on it.
I want to talk about one
It's
particular
Cork, the
stop,
capital, is it?
the real capital. We were on a call the other day, Lauren,
We were.
for one of our stops, which is, I think this encompasses what we're trying to do. The last day of our whiskey bus number 2, which comes up, is a fantastic representation of what I think Irish whiskey experiences can be. It's a day with the masters at Middleton.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you cannot get this on. It's not available at the distillery. You can't go and buy it. We're going to spend 7 hours in Middleton.
Yeah.
7 hours with the master
Master.
cooper,
Masters,
with the
yeah.
master distiller.
Yep.
We're going to be blenders. You're going to sip your way through the distillery. You're going to get access to people who are very busy making 120 million bottles of whiskey every year.
Yep.
But they're going to come away from their day to day to spend time with our community, sampling whiskies, telling you about the whiskies they're making, drawing from casks that don't get open to the general public, giving you access to areas that are off limits, things that will need special sign off to get you into.
And a few surprises in there as well.
And a few
We're
surprises
not
along the way.
always saying, yeah.
But 7 hours, I mean, you're talking about an experience that I think is going to be the highlight of.
I mean, it's essentially,
For many people.
you know how last year Bushmills was kind of like the pinnacle of
Yeah.
Whiskey Bus #1? This is the pinnacle.
Yeah.
We also went to
You're
some.
all right, like.
We also went to a supermarket
I mean,
outside Newry.
Yeah, I was going to say. we
With
drove
golf
past a car wash with disco lights.
You need to
in
bring me
Dundalk.
to this, but that's a separate conversation. Anyway,
And we drove past a few funeral parlours.
Massies.
You know, you're going with that was the pinnacle.
let me reiterate the sentence.
I'm just going over here to finish my pint.
So the Whiskey Bus #1, it was centered around Bushmills, okay? Like that's the reason you went
I
north.
think he's
It
really
was.
against myself.
Listen, don't listen to these two. Anyway,
Centre's a big word, but
Yeah.
we saw that she had access to more whiskey stocks than anybody else, so we
Yeah.
thought we'd have some.
Well, it was the brides who was better.
you're
than
all a
anyone else.
nightmare.
The,
You're all
the,
a
the
nightmare.
brown envelopes.
You're all a nightmare.
So go on. Anybody else want
Well,
a
no, I'm okay for the moment.
No, I'm okay.
You sure? Do you want a straw for that? You all right?
Give her a spoon. No, don't start that. No, don't. We're not talking about that. No. That poor woman
What
shouldn't have been videoed.
I didn't
Come on,
see this.
right.
I know
Back
what
to
you're talking
Middleton,
about. I
right,
didn't see
go on,
it.
right.
Anyway.
Go back to it.
Anyway,
Go
I
on.
get to big
I feel like the Middleton is the pinnacle of Whiskey Bus #2. Like what we have in store for you at Middleton is.
I think they've got the monopoly in that word, actually. They use
What?
it for in their marketing
Pinnacle?
for pinnacle.
Pinnacle of Irish whiskey.
Yeah. So I think it's inappropriate,
True.
and I think you need to retract the statement about it being the pinnacle.
And I think you owe them money.
Yeah. There's copyright on that.
Sorry.
One question that's come in is, will the three of us be on the whiskey bus? And the answer is yes.
Absolutely not. Sorry, yes. Sorry. Yeah. I meant to say yes. Sorry.
So this is when we've been
Absolutely.
planning out the Irish whiskey experiences, we've been working out what would we call, or what are the different experiences that we'll have over the course of a year. The whiskey bus is what we would call a signature experience.
Yep.
Wherever there's a signature experience, it's either going to get all of us,
Yep.
one of us, two of us, but we're going to be there. That's us. That's us running it, us be there with you. And the whiskey bus is where you'll always get us. No way around it. Like, we think it's where we put the most effort into kind of creating it. We want to see you, and some of you want to see us. So we're going to be there for the whiskey bus.
It's great crack too.
Oh,
Very
my
good
God,
crack.
so good, so good.
Great crack.
Always gonna
Barry
be there.
even sings, so that's a bonus.
Oh, yeah.
I think the first
Sorry,
ever
that
I
was
sang Sweet 16 in the Brewhouse and Bushmans.
Oh yeah, he did.
I love you
No.
as
No,
I
no,
never
not a bad day today. It wasn't really if the rain stayed away.
when you were young.
Singing it.
No.
L triangles will be out now in a second. Oh, we
It
need
will,
a tin
yeah.
whistle to go along with it.
When we go to Middleton, folks, and we'll talk about more of the experiences we're having as well, but when we're in Middleton, you're going to see the micro distillery, you're going to see the silent distillery, you're going to see the new distillery, and you're going to see the plans for the new distillery. You're going to sample whiskies all the way through the distillery as well. You're also going to get an amazing experience at the Middleton Academy. You're going to be trained in how Middleton makes whiskey with a customized curriculum over the course of an hour and a half.
Yep.
And there's going to be a quiz at the end of it, or
There'll be a test.
yes.
And if you fail, you'll be dropped down into the spent grain bin
Absolutely.
and carted off to the farms to be fed to the cows
Or you have to sit beside me on the bus journey back into Cork.
while he's
I feel like
snoring.
that's more of a present than a negative.
You haven't seen me at the end of day 6 and after
Oh, I
the whiskey
have.
bus.
Oh, I have.
I don't know if it's a present
Because
for anybody.
you Irish goodbye on me, so I have.
So
didn't Irish.
let me
Get
ask you
over it,
this
love.
though. Can I get your thoughts on, so the whiskey bus is something that we've got 40 people on this one this year. We've got one in planning for March.
Yep.
We'll probably have another
Yep.
one for August 2024 again.
Yep.
So we'll have at least 2 next year. When you think about what criteria qualify a day, a visit, a place for the whiskey bus, what do you think it should be? Like what are the criteria that makes a good
Yes,
destination? Yeah.
Makes a good destination.
Like what allows it to be part of our very short
Or
itinerary?
it's something beyond the ordinary.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a tagline that we can use, but it's literally beyond, as Lauren said at the start, it's not something that you could literally just rock up
No.
a book a day tour
Yeah.
and get it. And even when you think about the Jameson experience we had last year in Smithfield, I mean, lots of people, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people go visit the Jameson
Every year.
experience
Yeah.
in Middleton every year.
Yep.
but none of them are standing there drinking 27-year-old pot still at £100,000 a cask. I mean, that's the experience that they get.
And I
They
think
get the Ger Garland. I mean, the walking tour with Ger Garland. I know Greg Anderson and Greg and Don were there, and like, what are the chances? The serendipity of we're walking down a street, Ger Garland's talking about the history of Jameson in the Smithfield area, and we walk down the street, and that's, you know, the area that Greg Anderson had, his family was there. I mean, what's the chances of something like that? And again, it's only because we're out there with Ger, and Ger's talking about the history of it. I mean, it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
You just can't. It's beyond the ordinary, I think, is the
I
statement.
think 100% beyond the ordinary of what that distillery can offer, because I think you also have to take into consideration, like, a distillery that's as massive as Middleton, that's as massive as Bushmills, will be able to offer a lot more than the smaller distilleries. What that smaller distillery can offer you, if that goes above the normal and something that you don't normally get to do, whether that is like bottle your own cask, draw whiskey from a barrel, whatever that might be, it's tailored to that specific distillery. But I think beyond the ordinary is the
It's the
perfect.
tagline.
It's
It's
the tagline.
nearly the
We
tagline.
should
Yeah.
find. I'm pretty sure that tagline belongs to a whiskey brand, but we'll find it. Proper number 12 or something.
He's not on proper.
It's not beyond the ordinary. He's
Beyond the
taken the
ordinary.
hand. He's taken the hand.
We're in plan. So on July 30th is when we go live with our Irish whiskey experiences. Maybe our next experiences beyond just one whiskey bus, 2 whiskey buses. We will actually be able to reveal on July 30th our 3rd whiskey bus. We've yet to finalize whether we'll actually take bookings that night or not, but we'll figure that out. But July 30th is when we'll reveal the itinerary. We'll also have a domestic whiskey bus.
Yep.
That'll be a weekend-long experience for if you're in Ireland or you want to come to Ireland or you are Irish and living in Ireland and you want a weekend, Friday to Sunday with us. We're going to do something very interesting.
Yes.
We will have some ad hoc experiences that are based around your itinerary that you could say, I'm coming to Ireland in whatever it is, whatever date it is. Could I add this into my itinerary? And we'll say, let's check with the availability of that person, that master distiller, the blender, the bonder. We'll figure it out. We'll work with you. We'll have custom kind of bespoke experiences. So if you want us to make an experience that's only for you, but using our contacts and our connections, we can make that for you specifically. And we'll also have things where, like, for example, we're sitting in an experience right now.
Yeah.
So we are in JJC's pub. Why don't you talk about what this can be?
So we, again, when we were talking about these things, I mean, how often is it that you can have a pub to yourself, like what we've got tonight? So
Never.
wouldn't it be
Basically
great
never.
for people, for a group of people, for a family or a group of friends together to say, I'd love to have my own pub. Literally love to have my own pub. I'd love the experience of doing what I'm after doing, walking in behind your own bar, pulling your own pints,
Yeah.
serving to your friends, having the crack, having good bottles of whiskey. I mean, again, what we have on the shelf there behind us is only a portion of actually what is available. It is the snuggest, the greatest wee pub in the wee county, is how was my tagline for it. Because it's just a wee pub.
The wee pub with a big price tag.
But you imagine, again, having the pub to yourself. Literally family and friends or a group or whatever the case may be. So that you can come in here. So I said, let's make it available. What's the point in having a pub if we can't do these things? So let's make it a pub available to do stuff like that. So we said, let's build a few experiences. So if a group of people want to rent out the pub for an evening, have at it. And we can sort of, again, we could get a brand involved that they might come in and do a private whiskey tasting in their own bar while they're serving pints. The sky's the limit.
Like
But again,
we could surprise them with a brand, or if they have a favorite brand, like we could
Take it over with your
available,
family.
take it over.
Maybe there's a group of you traveling to Ireland.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to get 10 of your friends together, come over, take over the pub, have an Irish whiskey experience all to yourself, the whole pub to yourself.
Yeah.
Take over the night.
Yeah. And I might come in and sort of grace them with my presence.
And tell you to get out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah. We literally sleep directly above us now where we are. So hopefully Katie's not trying to sleep.
Get a brush there. We go.
Yeah, we're back to sleep.
You're right.
Are you asleep yet?
Bang if you're asleep. But again, that's one of the things that we said. Like, let's create a bespoke experience. So having your own lock-in here in JJ Sheehy's pub, come on, how good would that be?
We're also going to rope in some of course, some of the characters from Irish whiskey to join us along the way. So those that don't particularly belong to a distillery or a brand, but are actual enthusiasts, historians, characters.
You say don't belong.
Well,
if there was ever a man who didn't belong,
they wouldn't. There's a few men that don't belong. One such man is Fionn O'Connor, noted historian and loquacious whiskey enthusiast and historian.
Yeah.
He will be joining us for an experience in the Palace Bar. We have Dave O'Connell from Whiskey on the Tracks and Michael Carr, who has a great historical knowledge of walking towards the Dublin.
wow.
They're going to take us through the city of Dublin.
Again, he just loves history that's involved in distilling in Dublin, and when he talks about it again, it's just the passion that comes across every time he talks about it. It's lovely to see.
Absolutely. The Whiskey Bus, all of our Irish whiskey experiences are open to everyone. You don't have to be a customer of Anthony's. You don't have to be a customer of mine. You don't even have to like Lauren. You can just come. You can just come anyway.
I think you should like you.
No, people do like.
Sorry, tolerate you. Sorry, that's the word.
Tolerate.
Tolerate is a good word. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine.
And we'll be starting kind of small. I think we're trying to figure out what's manageable. What can we?
So the helicopter. When you say starting small, is the helicopter out of the question again? I've sort of
talked to our insurance agent.
You just threw that in there.
We're starting small.
We do want to do helicopter experiences so we can get in multiple distilleries in a day. We're just clearing it by our insurance agents right now.
I had the test ride the helicopter last week. It was terrible. It was shocking.
Anthony tested last week. He went to Slane Castle for Harry Styles.
Can I please tell a really funny story? So I saw a TikTok, right? And it was these people sitting outside their houses in Slane, okay? And they were waving at this helicopter like, "Hi, Harry, welcome to Slane." Harry didn't arrive to Slane on a helicopter. He came by Range Rover, so they were waving at Anthony.
Anthony was the only helicopter allowed into aerospace above Slane.
It wasn't Harry, it was Anthony.
Anthony dropping Irish whiskey option flyers out the door.
80,000 people. Half the volume.
Like, what's it? I haven't seen this Harry business. What is this? Oh, God.
So we've got some characters coming along. We do have helicopters being explored. Yes, we do have a cruise being explored. And all I will say on this, and we don't need to go deeper onto this, but we
tried to buy the boat and they wouldn't let me.
But we
a boat?
Yeah. There was one parked in Dublin Port.
To where?
For sale?
Yeah, it was 85 million.
And so you found the cruise ship.
That's just change, that's fine.
I went down and I said, "Will you take cash?"
Listen.
And the lads weren't interested.
They wanted cryptocurrency or
yes.
nothing. We are exploring one other thing, which we'll say nothing about, but we would love at some point.
Oh, here we go.
We would love
at
some point to own our own castle. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Go no further. Go no further.
They know things, but all I'm saying is we would love such a thing to happen. We're nothing if we're not full of notions and ambitions and dreams. And
there was a motorbike crash many years ago. Two of the greatest motorbike riders in history, Casey Stoner and Valentino Rossi. And he said that Valentino Rossi, who's the greatest, crashed into Casey Stoner, and he went in to apologise after him. And he said, "Your talent outweighs your ambition." So does that apply to us now?
I think our ambition outweighs our talent.
I'd agree with that.
Well, maybe that's what he actually said. Actually, maybe.
Look, it never stopped us before. No. I think we're headstrong enough, and I think collectively hardworking enough that even if we don't know what to do now, we will figure out what to do and how to do it when we get there.
My theory and my
don't tell the insurance agent.
My philosophy in life has always been like act first and then ask for forgiveness later. I feel like that's
but I don't think that works when you're trying to buy a castle.
I think it does.
No, I'd be fairly confident it doesn't. We have to have a wee bit more of a plan other than you're going, let's
buy a castle. No, I know.
We won't be buying an island. We won't be buying...
Bicky Island's not really happening.
Bicky Island's not happening.
Come back to me on April 1st. We'll find more out on Bicky Island and our current crop of potatoes, our Maris Piper potatoes. But I was going to say we're not going to be building a distillery, but I'm not going to even... Anyway, so we'll come back to all these things. So we're here in a whiskey
The
experience.
conversation at the start was, we're not going to talk about the castle.
Well, I just said
Castle.
we'll drop a little thing
I was
out.
there for that.
Barry
The
Rabbit
meeting,
Hole
I think it's
Chandler.
written in the notes.
I've had a drink.
Lauren has a 15-minute monologue on peace and reconciliation
Starting now.
in Northern Ireland, and don't mention the castle. That was there. I remember it was there.
Peace.
So, thanks for joining us tonight. We see you next week.
Please send your €5 so we can buy this castle to Anto's retirement fund at irishwhiskeyauctions.com. Yeah? No?
At Cloudy Breezes retirement home.
Oh my days.
But can you imagine the experience of having your own castle?
Like, it would be unreal. Like the hub. Imagine a hub from there, and every single experience was centered from the
You'd
castle.
already spoken about it before and said we weren't going to talk about it.
He's opened a can of worms here, so we might as
Let
well.
me change the subject then very
Is
quickly.
there anything
What date is Whiskey Bus 3?
So
The
where was this conversation?
15th.
And actually, it was
of
public
March.
as well when we said about the St. Paddy's Day parade.
it's the 15th of March.
16th.
16th. Lauren, pay attention. You're
You
supposed
sure
to know
it's the
this
16th?
stuff.
I'm fairly sure it was the 15th.
You're just supposed to know it now. Yeah.
Whiskey Bus 3
Fairly.
is 16th of March
Yeah.
to the 23rd of March.
Yes.
We will be participating in a St. Patrick's Day parade in Ireland.
Don't ruin it.
No,
I'm
but
not
we
saying
did.
anything.
No, actually,
Don't
because
do it.
no. In fairness,
We already know
no,
this.
we
They already know
told
this.
them that we were doing
They
it.
already know this.
We already said that we were going
They
to
just
do
don't
it.
know anymore.
Okay, don't ruin it.
No,
No, stop.
the challenge was
Stop.
how we were going to sneak it into O'Connell Street in Dublin.
We're not doing. No,
I've overcome that.
we don't.
We got some
It's been
sponsorship.
airlifted in by helicopter.
We got some sponsorship from a Titanic expedition company.
Oh,
And we're-
stop!
Barry.
Too
Barry.
Too soon. Too soon.
Everything he said he wasn't going
Yeah,
to
and
do tonight, he has now done.
yeah. And we were the ones, and I'm not supposed to swear.
We were,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
we were the
Don't
ones who were
swear
trying to be
at
well
it.
behaved. You've
Yeah.
done everything he said you wouldn't do.
Yeah, don't mention the
I'll
castle.
bring a life jacket.
Don't mention Titanic. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
How do I get out of
If we
this place?
put a moat around the castle, does that work?
There already is a moat there.
Oh, is there?
Is there?
Yeah, it's got two. Sorry.
We're going off the rails very, very quickly here.
Jeff, tell me. What did he say?
Who's got the red flag, Paul?
The red spots. They look like red spots.
Oh,
Oh, it's red spots. Sorry, those
no,
red
Jeff
spots.
Timmy. That idea imploded. Terrible.
Oh, come on, lads.
Shocking.
16th to the 23rd will be our Whiskey Bus 3.
Whiskey Bus 3, yeah.
And then Whiskey Bus 4 maybe August.
August. We again we're looking. It's probably trying to see. I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever angle you look from, we live in Ireland, so it's trying to balance the experiences between indoor and outdoor. Obviously, distilleries are mainly indoor experiences, but we do want people to be able to get out and about as well if they do want to do. I mean, that was one of the things that the people spoke about from Whiskey Bus once, is having a bit of free time as well to be able to, explore the area that they're in. If we're in Belfast, if
Yeah,
we're in Dublin,
absolutely.
if we're in Cork, unfortunately, that they can explore it. Was it subtle?
That slipped out.
Sorry, that was subtle.
I missed that one.
Did you?
Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
I missed it.
You're all right.
Yeah. So, but
Can't be that interesting.
that's one of the things that we'd be talking about, is that, how do we incorporate the indoor, outdoor, or free time for people as well? So we are limited on where we can do our buses and all that sort of stuff as well. The wild Atlantic or the wild West is a bit ropey in the depths of winter. Like
Which is why we're going there.
December
March,
the 31st on the Cliffs of Moher just isn't great crack.
Like, please be under no illusions. It's going to be a little bit grim, but it'll be great.
So in
crack.
March, we're heading to the Wild Atlantic Way. We're
Yep.
calling it the Wild West.
Yep.
And we have suggested this, and by all means you can weigh in, but we think that we should fly into Shannon.
Yep.
And out of Shannon. It's accessible from Boston, New York, and I think DC.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think those are the three cities.
Iceland.
Iceland to Shannon?
Yep.
Who flies that?
You could do a connect.
Icelandic Air.
Iceland's a big
Yeah.
connecting
Yeah,
flight
yeah.
location, yeah.
So Shannon is unbelievably convenient.
Yep.
And we're planning some amazing experiences from the Shannon region, North, Galway, Mayo, and then
Westport.
Westport. a few other things we've got surprises on we're working on there, maybe Ballina even, maybe Achill Island, who knows. South of
What's
into
that film
Limerick,
called?
the
Banshees
Banshees
of
of
Inisherin.
Inisherin.
Yep.
We are filming part 2 of that.
Yes, we are.
We're all starting in at breaking news, yep.
Guess which one's the donkey?
Me.
I've always been an ass, so I'm just not have to change that.
Picked on tonight.
But Shannon really does lend itself, and again, for the time of year that it is, Dublin Airport's going to be particularly busy with a lot of people coming into Ireland for
Paddy's weekend, yeah.
So it is going to be. I think it's a good call to.
We want to avoid Dublin for that particular period.
And our hotel is absolutely premium prices, even now at this stage for March 2024. So again, we're looking at the West, and I don't think it's going to be any the less of it. I actually think it's going to be a better experience for everybody, because what we're going to do over there is just going to be so unique.
Yeah, really is.
Some of the conversations we've had already is just going to be phenomenal. So,
and I know some of you are saying like it's more expensive flying to Shannon. You can fly into Dublin. Just because we start in the west of Ireland doesn't mean you'd have to.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know some people do pre-whiskey bus trips.
helicopters. We've helicopter.
We can get you from one airport to another by helicopter. Buses. So Dublin is a 2.5 hour bus drive from Shannon. So if you landed in Dublin, you could be in Shannon or Limerick in 2.5 hours. And so there's loads of options. We're just going to base ourselves on the West Coast. The bus will be on the West Coast. It'll stay there for whiskey bus number 3. So, excuse me, I got a pint burp there, a Guinness burp. July 30th is when we'll release all those details.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's the thing. You don't have to fly into the location where we start. You just have to meet us there, basically. So whatever suits you.
Lauren will be tucked away in a snug in a pub, sipping on.
I was actually going more. It should be in a tuk-tuk, driving people to and from the airport.
I will absolutely. I mean, I
Running
did
down
offer
the
to drive the bus.
Limerick bypass. Past Bunratty.
I did offer to.
What time is the next tuk-tuk?
What?
Give me 6 hours or
You offered to drive the bus.
I offered to drive the bus.
Hell no.
Why not?
So we have the same bus driver this year.
Driving
No, you haven't.
in a car. I have, Lauren. There's no way you're getting me anywhere near a bus.
Lauren parked in the grass out there when there was a big open field for her.
Handbraked into the car parking space. And I do have to note, did you look at the lines underneath your car?
Did you notice the wheelchair
The wheelchair symbol.
under your car? Under your car.
You inconsiderate person, you.
Excuse me.
It's all right. We bounced your car and we put it in a skip. We put it in a skip.
Excuse me. Kaylee told me.
Don't listen
back
to
up
Kate.
into
What
that
would Kate
space.
know? She's not.
Wherever
she
I
is the
wanted.
boss, but no, I mean,
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit more, Lauren? You've been doing some research in your short time with us on whiskey tourism.
I have, yeah.
Can you help us and our nice audience understand maybe the last few years of where, with the rise of the distilleries and tourism, what's that trajectory been looking like?
So yeah, some of the figures are pretty scary. So 2019 was really the first year that I think whiskey tourism was actually considered in Tourism Ireland's figures. So 2019 was the first year that whiskey distilleries attracted 1 million visitors globally, which is unbelievable. It's a massive number.
Quarter of our population.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Visiting whiskey
So
distilleries.
1 million people, and that's solely whiskey distilleries, which is unbelievable. I think per year in Ireland it's about 11 million or so that we would get per year. So it's still a very small portion, but very, very significantly whiskey distilleries, which is unreal. Now, obviously, the C word happened from 2020, which affected figures until 2020.
I know where you're
The
going.
pandemic.
Keep going.
Was that him?
Keep going.
The pandemic.
Keep her moving.
Seriously, obviously affected figures with travel being restricted, people feeling uncomfortable to travel and so on. So from 2021 to 2022, there was about a 425% increase on visitor numbers to Irish whiskey. So it's a massive increase from 2021 to 2022. So last year, there were 677,000 people visited whiskey distilleries. So obviously, that is significantly lower than 2019. But you have to consider that kind of fear factor is still there with a lot of people in terms of traveling to Ireland just not even Ireland, just on
But
a global scale.
Internally too, within Ireland, I mean, we've experienced so many crazy things. I mean, the situation in Ukraine. I mean, Ireland is doing its part and has refugees. Hotel prices have got considerably more expensive.
Absolutely,
I mean, anybody who knows who's been following
I mean,
it.
look at Whiskey Live. Like for 3 nights in Dublin over Whiskey Live, like I think it was 1,300 quid.
Yeah,
Which is insane for
it's
Dublin
crazy.
for local.
And it is just
tourism,
getting
yeah.
it. And again, Dublin is attracting these huge events like the rugby finals,
All the
boxing,
gigs, all the
MMA,
concerts,
gigs, concerts, and all that sort of stuff. So it is attracting these things as well, and the demand has
Taylor
probably
Swift.
never been. Yeah, that's actually.
Harry Styles and stuff.
Are you a Taylor Swift fan, or?
I wouldn't say I was a massive fan,
Where's
but
the
I'll
helicopter landing pad? That's all I want to know.
definitely go and see her. I don't know, but I'll get in on that next year.
Would there be a whiskey and Swifty experience?
No.
Whiskey Swifty.
Whiskey Swifty.
Or Swifty Whiskey.
The Swifty whiskey experience.
Yeah.
Well, no, we've talked about Lady Gaga though. She's a whiskey drinker.
She's a Jameson drinker.
She's a Jameson drinker.
Yeah, there we go.
Anyway,
Building an
so yeah,
experience
about 425% increase. So
getting bananas with Lady Gaga. Or just getting Gaga with Gaga.
Gaga with Gaga, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I'm here all night.
so
We're all here all night.
it's
Whether we like it or not. We're stuck.
I'm trying to educate
Sorry,
people.
sorry.
Anyway, so obviously
Are you?
Everybody's commented actually, just on something else. A lot of people have commented that Lauren's role, since she announced it last Friday, which again, well done, congratulations on your new job, that your role is going to be trying to wrangle, I think has been some of the words. I mean, to describe what your role will be in wrangling myself and Barry.
You'll do no such thing. We won't let you near us.
I don't think that's appropriate at all.
I don't think so
I
either.
think it is
I'm going to be writing a letter of complaint to HR.
Your HR.
Oh yeah.
I'm
going to be writing a letter of complaint to myself.
What have you do, Jay?
He's
Anthony,
he's
you're
gonna
being
escalate it.
here on the 25th.
You can escalate it though.
Who, me?
Yeah, you can escalate any complaints. They come to me.
They're going to hit him. Anywho, what were you saying about tourism?
Anyway, no, so obviously the 677,000 visitors to Irish whiskey distilleries is significantly lower than what it was in 2019 pre-pandemic, but it is expected that by 2025 it'll make a full recovery, and by 2025 it'll be up to 1.9 million, which is unreal. And I also saw a really interesting figure from Tourism Ireland that 200,000 bottles of Irish whiskey were purchased from visitor centres alone. Like,
Yeah,
the visitor centres alone.
yeah, but we, I mean,
It's mad.
of that, we probably, Whiskey Bus 1 accounted for probably a quarter of it.
I would say so, yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
huge amount. And I mean,
What was the average 10 to 12k per distillery or something, was it?
in and around that
Yeah,
spend.
yeah, that's
I mean,
insane.
it really was.
Insane.
But and again, it's not even about the money, is it? You know what I'm saying?
It's 500 bottles.
They were going home with the bottles and they were talking about it and they were sharing it and they were, you know, some people are I have noted lately, some people are killing the bottles that
For space, for it,
for the new space. So it is phenomenal that people are, and it's great that they can go away with the bottle from the distillery to say, like, I've been there, I've actively engaged with the brand instead of just ordering something online, and whether it be from did I tell you I own a business called Irish Whiskey Auctions?
Tell us about your business.
Tell
for
us
Irish
about
Whiskey
it.
Auctions.
Yeah.
Is there an auction taking place at the
There is
moment?
an auction taking place at the moment.
Where would somebody find details on that?
But
Irish Whiskey Auctions.ie.
yeah, I would. Yeah, if they were, they're actively more engaged with the brand from doing stuff like that, from being at the distillery, buying. They literally want to buy there and then.
Yeah.
And it's so many the distilleries are now getting so good at that.
Yeah.
That they're really trying to create something
It's
special. I mean, the
distillery
bottle your own.
exclusives. Yeah.
Distillery.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we went to Teeling and it was our first stop?
Yeah.
The queue, because we had Alex Chasko, master distiller. We grabbed him after a tasting. Alex, would you ever sign a few bottles? And once people knew that Alex was going to sign the bottles, people were grabbing bottles off shelves.
Alex,
And Alex and
was
Bushmills.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
when she
yeah.
was signing the bottles and her gold Sharpie, everybody was like, yeah.
It'll be the same in Middleton, like we already
Actually, strange
arranged.
enough, I do remember you getting asked to sign a few bottles as well.
I signed every single bottle that was purchased in Bushmills.
But some of them didn't ask you to do it. That was
She's like, can I also sign?
you were just sort of
Can I
hanging
also
in, you know.
sign?
I mean, sorry, my name's Lauren, by the way. Sorry, just
Do you remember who I am? So,
yeah. You know.
I was asked.
Spring like a lion. Running after him in that car park. Can I put a line?
Let me sign it. Come back.
Just a letter.
Anyhow, so what were you saying?
Me, HR.
So,
Yes.
so what you're saying is there is compared to the mature whiskey tourism markets of Scotland, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ireland has a ways to go, but we're hoping that this will be maybe a catalyst, and hopefully more companies come into the market and try and do things we're doing now. There's leave space for us, but we want more people to do it.
I think, and again, the fact that Lauren said is that Tourism Ireland is only now starting to compile the data from it, shows that it's only actually starting to come on their radar, that they're beginning to see the merits of it, and they're probably going to try and bring...
But when you think about it, so I started Bushmills in 2014.
You didn't start Bushmills.
Lauren built Bushmills.
I founded Bushmills.
It's the line.
That's grey hair, not blonde.
Yeah,
1608.
It's on the front of the bottle. Look, 16. Look.
I preserved myself quite
Right.
well. Anyway.
Preserved, all right.
Have you heard of craic checks? She's pickles. Go on.
I can't cope with you, Jay.
Will you go on? Tell us what you're going to tell us.
You're paid to cope.
So,
Literally, no.
they're not wrong when they said I'm in charge of keeping you two in check. Anyway, 2014, when I personally started in Bushmills, let me rephrase that. Realistically, how many visitor centres were there in Ireland at that time? 3, 4? Yeah.
3.
So it honestly, the model didn't exist.
When? What year?
2014.
Kilbeggan,
Middleton,
and
Bushmills.
Yeah.
It's only 3. So the model...
Oh, Dingle.
Dingle had at that 2000.
Were they the 2010, weren't they?
2012.
2012.
They would have been up.
So 4, that's why it says 4.
Picking holes in their numbers, huh? Have you done any research on this?
Yeah.
This seems like shoddy at best.
The one thing that you're paid to
You
do.
had one job
and you haven't
tonight.
even got-
Come to us with the numbers.
Anyway.
That's gone very dry there,
I
John.
did.
That's
I
gone
did.
very
I
dry.
literally
That's
did.
gone very dry.
I said 4.
It's gone very dry.
Lauren, you want to go in and put your own
One
pint?
pint.
Go on.
Obviously not.
Go on, we can laugh and
Can you imagine the slap you get?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Right there.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
Let's go.
Actually, we might have to tilt the camera down because you're standing behind the
No,
bar.
you don't have to record me.
No, she's there.
No,
We can see her.
I'm
Yeah,
just
look.
wondering.
Well, you could zoom in a bit.
No, please don't.
I
No.
think that's appropriate. No, I can't. Barry.
No.
My hand is shaky. Now, your first mistake was not holding it against the glass. There's going to be
Why did you
bubbles
put the
all
handle
over
down?
this. What is
Why
this?
did you put the handle down?
What is this?
This is not
Yeah,
Yardale or...
This is like what? She's like. What do you call the one out of the Queen Vic? Peggy Mitchell. You actually look just like her as well.
I'm actually. I swear.
Put the
Put
handle
the
all the way
handle
down.
all the way
All the way down.
I'm holding glass against the side of it.
It is against the side
No,
of it.
it's not. You're
Kiss
in the
it,
middle
kiss
of it.
it. 45 degree angle.
Oh,
45, 45.
So one of the experiences that we will be doing is pull your own pint of Guinness in Guinness, and we're going to teach you how to do it properly because Lauren obviously hasn't.
Lauren's the first one to go through
Lauren's,
it.
yeah,
She'll be paying us.
yeah, staff training.
Listen,
Keep it at 45. Keep it at
it is
45.
a 45.
She can't count to 40.
She can't. She needs 4 more hands.
Right, Lauren. There's only 3 of us here, though.
She's at pouring 16 pints.
And the price of it as well.
I was in the middle of making a point there and you all interrupted me. But
Sorry, you come back around and tell us what.
No, it's
No,
fine.
come on,
It'll take
come on.
13 seconds anyway. Come on, come back.
Come on. Tell us what the crack.
No, you're fine.
In the meantime, would there be anything to be said for an old song?
No, Barry.
No, Barry.
There wouldn't be nothing said for any.
Would there be anything to be said for another mass?
Yeah. Fine. Do you think that something like this, something that we're trying to create, is really something that is going to be grown on? Do you think that more people are going to try and do it? I'm sure there is smaller companies doing individual elements of it, but I don't think there's any one experienced company that's bringing it all together.
What you're saying is there's nobody as amazing as us.
Well,
That's what he's
In
trying
no
to
indirect
say,
way
yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
yeah, there is that of it as well. But I mean,
No, so what I was saying was when we were chatting about when I started in Bushmills in 2014, there were only, as I said, 4 visitor centres. So like
This
whiskey.
was 3 minutes ago.
Whiskey, I said 4 initially,
You
and then
didn't.
you went back on your word and did.
Objection, Your Honour.
Like the whiskey tourism model didn't exist, and it was only, I think I said this earlier, it was maybe like 2 years into working at Bushmills, about 2016, when I think Tourism Ireland had a food and drink year. You know, they do like a theme every year where they focus on a certain aspect. So 2016 was food and drink. And that was the first year, I think, that they started to really consider whiskey tourism as an actual separate entity
But
of the whiskey model.
Because she went there, because she started working
Because
there.
they were
Yeah.
very, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
they've also started push it back, don't pull it forward, push it back, push the handle back.
Back. There you go.
Just slightly proud. That's too much.
No,
That's
it's
too
not.
much.
It's not. It's not.
It
It's not.
is.
It's
Oh,
not.
over
It's
it.
not.
That's when you see
It's
these
not
pints,
when you
No,
see-
seriously.
our viewership numbers are going to go down.
Yeah.
It's not.
Anthony, while she's doing that, would you like to select the next whiskey and talk about it? Something to do with one of our experiences, maybe.
Something to do with one of our experiences. Well, we've already tried Dundalk's. So how about we do a Redbreast 27, Barry? Straight in at the deep end.
Wow.
Actually,
Wow.
you've Redbreast 27 or you've the Jameson 21.
I'm not a fan of Jameson 21. I'm going to go on the record.
I haven't tried it.
I'm not a fan.
I can't comment.
Really?
No, I don't rate it.
Why?
I don't rate it.
Why?
I think it was
Barry, do you know you're after decimating Jameson's entire drinks industry there just with that one throwaway comment?
I'm valued for my objectivity and my impartiality.
You can't.
I don't rate it. I don't
No,
think
I'm
it
not
stacks
going to
up.
comment on that.
That's not even. I think
Why?
the 18-year-old outweighs the 21-year-old all day long.
I think the 18-year-old is a very underrated whiskey.
18 cask strength is a great blend.
Absolutely hugely undervalued and underappreciated whiskey. But I think we should go with the Redbreast one.
Put the 21 back on the shelf. Let's not darken our
Why do
glasses.
you not like it?
I think it is an unbalanced whiskey.
Again,
And
Jameson, what would they know about making whiskey? Considering,
compared to Barry Chandler.
yeah, you know, I mean,
The man's entitled to his opinion, though.
yeah, but you're not allowed to say it.
But you
That's
haven't.
it.
You haven't
You're-
justified.
Yeah, I was going to say, you
I was
entitled your opinion.
trying to
just keep it
explain.
yourself.
All right. Redbreast 27, please.
Yes. Either that or
The
I
Palace
haven't- I haven't
Bar.
tried that. No, I haven't tried
Palace
that.
Bar. You get to open that Barry as well.
I think we should work up to the 27-year-old.
Yeah.
Let's do this. This
But
is
then
the,
again, at this stage, the way you're drinking these pints, the Redbreast 27 could be lost in you if this
Well,
goes much further.
I won't be drinking many more pints if you look at the ones she's after pouring.
Look,
They are not
still-
bad.
Oh, come on, Lauren.
Look,
How are they
Look,
bad?
look what-
a curate and a bishop.
Huh?
They are bad
There's the
pints.
priest.
They're not bad. When you say they're not bad,
There's
they're
the
not
priest
great.
amongst them.
I mean, come on.
Look at the like. Oh,
I look at the bubbles on this thing. Like it's like a
listen,
Viennetta.
Is it
Listen,
is it a
that
pint?
is not a bad pint.
Look at the dirt. Is it a pint of Coke? You have forgiven me.
Look.
Look at this, folks. We
Running
apologise
down
for what
the
you're
side
seeing
of
on your
that.
It
screen.
You
is
know
the
what?
exact
I would
same
like-
head
I
on
do
those
know what?
pints of Guinness.
I
that
would
you're
like
looking
to.
for
I would like to make it very clear from the outset
Look at the
that these
muck.
are not
Can
typical.
somebody
of the
please
pints
tell
of
me this
Guinness
is a good pint
that
of
you can
Guinness?
sell
What's
in
all that?
He's public
Why
house.
is that not a good
What's
pint?
inside your glass?
Bubbles. And what about this?
Tell me that.
Oh my
Someone please
God.
tell me these are good pints. They are good pints.
Did we sign? How long is our contract with Lauren?
No,
Look,
I think she's on. Is there a probationary period?
they are good pints. Look at this.
When you were leaving,
Look at the
Bushmills,
shtick.
is there a chance you come back?
They would never after this.
Oh my god. They are good pints.
They're not.
They're not,
Don't
though.
be under any illusion that they are a good pint.
Matt
Look at
said
the
he'd
bubbles
drink
in the
it.
pint. If you man, what do you call that?
The pint guru.
Pint
Ah,
of
something
Guinness
him.
guru.
He would just.
He's turning in his grave and he's not even dead.
You would tarnish the name of Irish whiskey auctions, and not.
They can't see the
What's the name of
cameras.
this pub? What's this pub called?
Paul Hyde or something. Or
Ginger Cheese.
what's it called?
You tarnish the good name of Ginger Cheese that I've spent
You're
months
all lying
winning
to me.
myself.
They are good pints.
This man will never get another customer.
Look,
So
at
as
the
long as he
state of
lives.
this thing. Look at the bubbles in the top of that. Look.
There's-
No, don't be blowing on it. That doesn't make it go
Do you know
away.
what? Those bubbles would be enough for a scuba diver.
Huh? Or if you were in a torpedo
You're
or
all
a
nightmare.
submarine.
You're
or
all
do-
nightmare.
Deep sea dive.
They're bullying. They are actually bullying me. They're very good
There's
pints.
5 people over in the Atlantic, North Atlantic, that would go mad for them bubbles.
Sub vessel.
Anyway, on to this whiskey. What are we moving on? Lovely
The
pint.
Palace Bar.
Thanks very much, Lauren.
Oh, that's it.
Thanks, Lauren, for that. Lovely pint. Lovely pint.
Anyhow, Barry, you're
Lauren,
open up.
please.
Lauren,
No,
open up.
no.
No, you're right. You're in a Hames and actually, no, you're
Actually, no,
you're
she
an
might
absolute.
try opening
No,
from the
stop.
bottom. She'll try opening from the bottom. Why don't, Anthony, would you like explaining what this is and its significance?
What, Barry?
Oh,
Sorry,
we're
what we
moving
done?
on.
This is the Palace Bar 11-year-old. So this is the Palace themselves had a great tradition but Willie created a few.
Don't worry about
Because
it.
he's addicted to just like my pint pouring and he can't
Well, you're not
drink all
going to
the
open them with
whiskey.
them talons anyhow, so it doesn't make any difference.
Actually can.
Whip it. So the Palace Bar, Willie Hearn, I mean, a good friend of all of ours. Willie is fourth generation publican now in the Palace Bar in Fleet Street in Dublin. We had a couple of really fun times in the Palace Bar. We had a nice, unique tasting there as well on Whiskey Bus 1. We may.
Lauren.
My God. I can dress these up, but I can't take these out. It's all right, I've got it. Leave it there. Cleaner will get it in the morning.
We have to finish it now.
Actually, sorry, I'm the cleaner, sorry. But that is the Palace Bar 11-year-old.
Celebrating their
200 years of the Palace Bar in existence. So it's a big one. It's a big one. For them.
200-euro whiskey. How about that?
No, it's not 200-year-old whiskey. It's 200 years of the Palace Bar. So it has
And what is it? Single malt?
Straight up.
single
Carmen.
malt, yeah, absolutely.
11 years old.
11 years old, and on the back of it, internationally famous for our intellectual refreshments. So there's something. It's a port and sherry cask finish from Dundalk Skin, special bottling, 46% ABV, and that is batch 1. So cheers, Mr. Willie Hearn.
Cheers, Willie.
Spot.
Good man.
Oh, it's a dingo, yeah.
Is there a peat component?
No.
I was going to say,
There's like a
I
Maillard
get a
reaction or
wee
something.
bit
There's a
of
bit
peat,
there's a bit of peat.
I get a bit
No.
of peat.
Are you sure?
Well, not that I'm aware of.
Jeez.
I get a bit of
I
peat
got
as
a hint
well,
of it.
yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm totally wrong. What would I know about?
But there's no peat in Dundalks.
No, there's no peat. Well,
1808
has
And
Three Crowns peated.
Yeah.
Lads,
So-
have you done any research?
So Dunville's, yeah, you're right. They don't do any peated at all apart from
Except for all their whiskies.
Jarlath Watson, are you tuned in? Jarlath Watson, you tell us, or Willie Hearn.
This is straight up karma for Barry insulting my pints when there's nothing wrong with them.
Oh, it's the Pedro Jimenez cask is what we're getting. Oh no, that's
Well,
not.
you know the way.
No, there's no Pedro Jimenez.
Yeah.
I can't even Google. What's your names again?
What's his name?
What's your names?
All right. You know the way that you sort of built a career on your persona in Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never make a mind about
That's rude.
it. It's true.
It's just malt,
They're not shocking pints.
important cherry. There's no peat.
I told you this.
Don't ever listen to us
Yeah. What would we know about whiskey?
about tasting whiskies.
Yeah. And actually,
I love these glasses, by the way.
They are lovely, aren't they?
Big fan.
They're the
of
ones
these
we have for
glasses.
the Lauren on the Lee.
Nice.
We have life jacket shaped ones for Lauren in the Lee.
And there's a brick attached
When
to
I,
one of them.
when I inevitably end up in the river.
No, it's the sherry cask is what we're
Sherry
tasting.
cask.
It's the sherry cask.
I never tasted peat from it at all. I don't know where the hell the usual
We
one.
weren't
No,
asking
it's a second sip, there's no
No.
hint now.
I'm glad you agree with the distillers and the people who are selling it. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
look,
delighted.
we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. You know, what would they know?
If you're just joining us, we would love you to sign up for our emails on Irish Whiskey Experiences too, so that we can keep you posted on what's coming. Just drop your email address in there. It's easy. And then between now and July 30th, we'll keep you posted on what's about to be revealed. And then thereafter, as we add new experiences, you'll be the first to hear about them.
Give us a follow on Irish Whiskey Experiences on Facebook.
Facebook,
And Instagram,
And Instagram.
at Irish Whiskey Experiences, please. Yeah.
You
Lauren
were
will be
very-
managing it.
You were very keen when we were doing the Instagram to have it properly orchestrated from the start.
Yeah.
That you had to be the center of everything on that.
I actually think you'll find I I offered up you and Barry to be at the centre.
No.
And both of you said, no, Lauren.
No, I remember that
Lauren,
conversation. You said you had to be the centre at all times. And if anybody looks at any of the photos that we took in Dublin, and even now, you said that you wanted to be centre on the camera.
You wanted your 2 bodyguards beside you.
Yeah. And they weren't available tonight, so me and Barry done it
So
instead.
us lads with a bit of porter on us hanging over our belts have come instead.
What we lacked in talent, we make up in mass.
Everybody knows that is a lie.
We have
What,
porter
do you want to
on board.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's a lie.
Lauren, let me ask you this.
What?
Over the past 9, almost 10 years working in the whiskey industry, like, what kept you there? Like, what did you enjoy?
The people. So the people, I think you've said this as well, and I genuinely did not copy you. If you removed every single dram, every inch of liquid out of the whiskey industry, and you kept the people in it and everyone I'd met, I would still want to be in this industry. It's the people that kept me there, the stories, the history, the background to the brands, the brand ambassadors, their journey into the whiskey industry. That's what kept me going. It was the people, and that's why I fell in love with Bushmills. And that was my entry and my journey in the whiskey industry so far. It was the people that kept me there. It was their willingness to impart all of their stories, their journey, their history, everything they've learned along the way onto me, which is what kept me in this industry. So yeah, the people, 100%.
And it is that. I mean, look at how many people or how many friends that we've collectively made over the years with the Irish whiskey industry community. I mean, it's
amazing,
been phenomenal. And most of the people, and again, most of them, are so generous of their information. They're not they're not,
they're so willing to help you learn. Yeah.
But and the crazy thing is, we talked about Middleton earlier on as being one of the experiences for our business, is how they've been involved. I mean, most people would think of them as this behemoth, but when small startup or distilleries were getting set up, they were on hand and they were having workshops to try and help them overcome some of the obstacles to getting distilling, to getting the stills right, to getting the distillate right, to your cut points. They were really generous with their information, and most of the people that are involved in it are really generous with their information.
You made this point earlier about how so many people in Bushmills and Middleton had worked together. Like when you think about Billy Lighton, he was the master distiller in Bushmills for so many years. Master blender for so many years.
Did he get promoted? Sorry.
Sarcasm. Anyway, like so many of these people have learned off each other, and
Alex Thomas learned from Billy.
Exactly.
Her first day on the job was working with Billy.
Yeah, exactly. And like so many of these people have passed their knowledge on to one another, and even though they're obviously in very different paths and very different distilleries now, it took that kind of exchanging of knowledge to grow the Irish whiskey industry. And so many of the younger brands and newer brands kind of look up to Bushmills and Middleton as being the kind of the pillars, the kind of sort of the building blocks of the industry. And they were, yeah, exactly.
I mean, 2010 we had 3 distilleries in Ireland.
That's it.
I mean, that's what
it's actually really scary to think about that. 3 distilleries in 2010.
Now there's 43.
There's 40, yeah.
It's a huge leap. But again,
massively,
knowledge, I mean, you can't all be the Brendan Carty that is experimental and, is creative. I mean, there's
a commercial aspect.
There is a commercial aspect of it. And small distilleries like Brendan or Buelock or, any of the smaller distilleries, they've got a nicheness to them that allows them to sort of exist. Whereas the step up distilleries, the Sleeve Leagues, the JJ Corrie is a brand, the West Corks, the Clonakilties, they're all really working hard to try and fill a space and trying to fill, a commercial aspect of the business as well, because there's so many jobs depending on it, and that's what I keep talking about as well. There's so many jobs. I'd love to know, in all your research, have you any idea about the employment creation? No.
Yeah, there was something like, how many was it? So for every I remember reading I think it was Tourism Ireland had this fact up for every distillery that is founded, there's like 500 something jobs created around
Yeah,
it.
peripheral businesses.
Peripheral,
and all that sort of stuff.
From like,
I
and
mean-
in the it even goes right down to like
Dry
the
goods.
restaurant. Yeah, like the restaurant, the bar, like so
Yeah,
many
yeah.
jobs sitting
And
around it. Yeah.
even
I think
take
it's
that
5, 6,
Even
7.
take that one step further. I mean, look at us. We're now, there's a bus driver involved. There's
Yeah.
the hotels involved.
Yeah.
There's so many ancillary businesses that's
That's
built around it. We've got
Boats.
glassware
And I think
companies in
boats,
Ireland.
and I think also
We've got-
like it boils right down to the fact that the bus driver that we had last year on Whiskey
Nigel.
Bus number 1,
Yeah.
Nigel, wants to come back for Whiskey Bus number 2. That speaks volumes in
That's because he was
itself.
promised whiskey.
Yeah.
That's besides the point, though. The fact that he wants to deal with us for a week.
But again,
is quite
and one of the
something.
experiences, the unrehearsed nature of our business last year was Nigel himself
Yeah.
offered to take
To come
people on a
back.
tour
Yeah.
of
Right,
Belfast
Belfast,
as
yeah.
well, and to take them
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
And I mean, that's phenomenal. That's great. It
It's
exposes
just the passion,
people
yeah,
to
absolutely.
parts of Ireland that they wouldn't normally get, or again, the knowledge and
Yeah,
experience of Nigel. Now, there was parts of it. He was like a rally car driver. We did have to remind him, this is a bus. There is 40 people. We have consumed alcohol.
There was one particular moment when we were going through the Ards Peninsula, and Nigel was, the bus was launching over small little hillocks and going around corners at pace, and people were kind of holding onto their seats and maybe not as used to the Irish roads,
Yeah.
And Nigel was, it was as if he was driving down a country lane at 5 miles an hour, was giving a kind of a commentary about what you could see out the window, but people were holding onto their seats, and somebody piped up and they said, "What did he say?" And I said, "Nigel said if you want to come up and drive it yourself, you can have a go here."
We're so used to country roads, so nobody else is.
But it again, that just shows how many, for us, for our fledgling enterprise, for our fledgling business, how many ancillary jobs. I mean, look, we give you a job.
We're not paying her though. What do we have to pay her?
I think so.
This is voluntary.
Was that in the
Should be.
contract?
No, well, I mean, you didn't
Should
get
pay
any of your
us.
facts right. You pour lousy pints of Guinness. You were jumping between 2 and 3 visitor centre. You didn't know anything right. I mean, it's precision.
I actually
Lauren.
think you're fine.
It's
I said
precision.
4
No,
and
I-
he said
I
3
think-
and then
I
went
know, I
back
think
to
you're
4.
right. It's precision.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't just depend on
Okay.
your willy-nilly, just whims of whether it's 3 or 4, visitor centre. I mean, you have to be exact. You can't say sort of, we're going to visit a distillery. It might be in Cork.
Let me ask you this. Actually, let me put this back on our lovely audience.
Right.
Because you're
Do
useless.
you think
at this
Lauren's
stage.
as bad as we think she is? Sorry.
As we-
No, they have my back.
As we
Don't
plan
even
out
start. Don't even start.
experiences, so we're planning out experiences. Are there things that you want to do? So are there aspects of Irish whiskey you wish you could go deeper into? Are there people you'd like to meet? Are there overnights or 7-day things or 3-day things, or things you'd like to do that we haven't even thought about?
Yes, that was it.
That
Within
wasn't
reason.
question
honestly,
to you.
Within reason. No, I'm following up with the point. No, what we were saying, like obviously within reason, please do tell us anything that is of interest.
Even if
to
it's
you.
not within reason, we can do a
Even,
helicopter.
yeah, exactly. Even,
Helicopter.
even if it's not within reason, just
We
throw
can
it to us
take you to a distillery in a helicopter.
and we'll figure it out. But the other side of things
It's
is
ridiculous.
if you have any like hobbies or interests that surround whiskey, whether that
Knitting.
be golf, whether that be motorbikes,
Crochet.
Motorbike tours distilleries.
Northwest 200, I said
No.
Keep going, keep going.
that. Yeah.
Motorbikes.
Motorbikes.
Didn't Sarah from McConnell's, weren't they one of the brand sponsors at the Northwest 200?
Don't know if they were a sponsor, but they were there
No, they
anyway.
weren't.
Were
No,
they a
because- yeah,
sponsor?
Sarah said to me, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So like motorbikes, whatever it may be, golf, whatever your
Watches,
external watches,
Watch us.
whiskey and watches. We got a guy.
We know about
whatever your external interests are. around
Genealogy
whiskey.
specialist at Cheryl. Cheryl, you're going to Cove in County Cork, where all the genealogists are. So if you want your heritage traced, go to Cork. I've angled this on a particular angle.
I haven't
so that you
read
can't-
any comments.
so that you don't do this.
I haven't read any.
Cheryl, in Cove, we will give you access and tips on how to get to the Cove Heritage Centre, where if you give them advance notice, they can have a genealogist meet you and help you trace your roots. So that's a good a good thing.
Is that only if you're from Cork?
No.
No.
So most immigrants from Ireland, the majority left via
emigrated
Cove.
from
They
Cove.
left via Cove,
okay,
Queenstown back in the day.
Yeah.
So there'll be records. So the ship's records, and then also they can trace the names of the family back through various towns to see where they originate and what ship they leave on, what ship they get to Ellis Island on.
Please read
See, here she's
Rick's
actually-
comment.
This is what happens.
I have looked. This is the first time.
While we were talking, she'd dive into the comments.
I waited for you to finish. Read
I wasn't even
comment.
finished. No, I'm hiding it. We have to hide. So we have to hide comments from Lauren because Lauren gets obsessed with comments after a minute. So we have to put them at an angle so she doesn't get distracted. We're still.
There has not been a single one I have read tonight.
The genealogy. I mean,
Yeah.
again, think of last year.
Yeah.
Walking down the street with Jer Garland, Greg and
Street
Don,
name.
a street name, and that was the click for them.
Yeah.
How many of our American audience or European-based audience would have had family that at some stage emigrated from Ireland? I mean, the majority.
A lot.
Sharon-
Isn't the figure of
Yeah.
something like 70 million
Yeah.
people worldwide
Yeah.
claim to be Irish?
Cove Heritage Centre, Cheryl. Just Google that. No, we can't set it up for you, but you can set it up for yourself. We're still trying to get the old Whiskey Experiences launched, but once we do get launched after July 30th, we'll have ways to help, right? Right now, we're all hands on deck with getting these things up and running, but I would say Google Cove, COBH, Heritage Centre. Genealogy.
What do you think?
How do you like the whiskey?
Really like it, yeah. Further from the hand though.
Different whiskies.
It is different whiskey. One's 11-year-old as
Of
well.
course, it's a different whiskey.
Would you believe that every whiskey is different to the one before it?
Really?
Now,
Really?
I'm going out on a limb with that one.
Particularly if you're drinking out of the same glass.
May I suggest that it is 137
Okay.
and that we start to take questions?
Okay. Is one of the questions going to be, how can I find out more about Irish whiskey
That
experience?
sounds like
That sounds like a fair question.
exactly the question we would want.
Well, how can they find out more about Irish whiskey experiences? Barry Chandler.
Might I suggest visiting www.irishwhiskeyexperiences.com,
Okay.
popping your email address into a little field in 2 different areas on our website,
Okay.
and we'll be in touch with what we're launching on July 30th. Whiskey Bus number 3 will be one of our signature experiences that we'll launch that day. We'll figure out between now and then the logistics of when we'll take bookings. It'll be a first come, first served.
If you are keen to book on the night, let us know. We will make it happen.
We are, for Whiskey Bus 2, we offered the first refusal to those on Whiskey Bus 1. For many reasons, we can't keep doing that because otherwise it'll be the same people having the same vacation every year. And while we love Groundhog Day, it means that people are stuck not getting access to the Whiskey Bus. So we want it to be a first come, first served. But however, I do think there is maybe a way that those who've participated in a previous Whiskey Bus get a little discount on the next one.
Absolutely.
That's an easy one for us to do.
May I also suggest
€1 off. Can we sign off on this? €1?
Yeah.
50 cents.
that's a bit much.
Bit much, Barry.
Bit much.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Now,
There's no discount.
What they might
May I
have-
also go ahead.
what they could have is some sort of, we could give them some sort of emblem or, the remains of a bottle that we drank on the day. And
The
to sort of-
kindness, the kindness.
The empty bottle.
and to say that, I was there, and then they can get like badges. They're like scouts, and they get Whiskey Bus 1.
Because they all
Whiskey
get
Bus
badges,
2.
which they then in turn
Whiskey
get
Bus
tattooed.
Actually, Lauren, there's a role for you, something to do.
Tattooist.
7:30 in the morning. If you could learn how to tattoo,
I'll tattoo, no
and
problem, that's fine.
when we're all bananas drunk, you can tattoo.
Sounds good to me.
The Whiskey Bus logo, or the Irish Whiskey Experiences logo.
Sounds good to me.
If anyone is willing to get an Irish Whiskey Experiences logo tattoo,
Free access to every Whiskey Bus.
relax,
Settle down.
settle down.
Jeez.
We will shake your hand and pose for a photograph.
As long as
You
it's
will get a
not on
free
the bottom.
signed autograph.
Please don't have the tattoo on your bottom, because I'm not shaking your hand.
No, there's too many HR issues and complications.
That's all right. I'm HR. It's okay.
Mike wants to know what happened to the Whiskey Club bus discounts. Mike, they're coming at the next payment. Your final payment will have a discount if you're a Whiskey Club bus member. If one of you is a Whiskey Club bus member, one of you gets a discount. If 2 of you are, 2 of you get the discount. That's kindness that has been extended by Anthony and Lauren as well. And so we will offer $50 per person discount if you're a Stories and Sips Whiskey Club member.
Barry's paying that out of his own pocket.
I will not be reimbursing anyone.
Absolutely.
That is, that's alone 2.5 months of your membership. Going forward, I would like to offer, and we haven't even discussed this, maybe an opportunity for Whiskey Club members to have some discount on our experience as well.
I'm all right with that.
Okay, so going forward, if you're a Whiskey Club member, you'll get discounts on our experiences. So, what else do we need to know, or do they need to know? Lauren, what do you need to know about this role that's not been in the contract that you've read so carefully and signed?
So all I was going to say before you interrupted me was please also follow our Instagram.
Which time did he interrupt you?
About 50,000 times tonight. At Irish Whiskey Experiences, please follow.
How did Lauren get in here?
Yes.
Why am I here? Why am I here? Who are you?
You did a great job. Can we just say that Lauren has represented the brand extraordinarily so far? Can we say that, or is it just me?
I don't know if you're going off how, Barry. When was this?
Can we just say Lauren has been here since the beginning? Can we just say that Lauren
Barry, I just
has been
wouldn't
employed?
say anything at all.
All right.
I've been employed for 2 weeks.
You passed the 2 weeks threshold tomorrow, actually.
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
yeah. Tomorrow's 2 weeks.
Is tomorrow 2 weeks?
I think so.
Tomorrow 2 weeks.
Maybe 3. No, it's 2.
Two.
It's 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2
it's
weeks.
2.
And I have to say, during that time,
Our life has been
Hell.
busier.
Hell.
I have to have a 10 o'clock phone call every morning.
yeah.
That was on you, not me.
I'm trying to keep you honest and keep you focused on the tasks at hand. But we'll pull back from that once we trust you.
I don't know if I'm going to do that.
Billy.
Um, No, we do not want it known anything other than we are a very happy trio of
I
workers.
think you were the right person at the right time.
Thank you. Oh, Lauren. Oh, sorry.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were, Lauren. You were.
You were. You just it was the right time all around. And I think it's a great opportunity for people to engage more with you. I mean, a lot of the audience really seems to enjoy talking to you for whatever reason that is. I can't quite fathom it myself, but you really do. You're Irish whiskey. You're one of the people that, as I say, transcends the brand itself.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
And you are, I would say, there's no other whiskey brand ambassador we wanted to work with except you.
Well, Barry, you can't say.
Don't mention the other 6.
Yeah, Barry, I'm sorry, we just can't say that. There was a few others, and they all refused the job first, and then we sort of
They said, for those peanuts,
not
not a hope.
Yeah, and then we went down through the list, and they said, "Is there anybody else there?" And it was
Honestly,
slim pickings.
I'll be honest. There's
Yeah.
very few people now in this day and age you can get for $8,000 a year.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable.
Couple of questions. If you are in Ireland on your own trip, how can you get an experience that involves the Irish Whiskey Experience team? Robert, pay attention to our website after July 30th. We'll have available experiences from that date, which could be date specific or they could be added on to your own trip. So keep a close eye on our website. So if you're on your own trip, let us know, or keep an eye on the dates we're offering experiences. Some of them, again, you just have to reach out to us and ask, can we arrange it with the distillery? It's simple as that.
I think that the first things first is, as I say, getting people sort of giving us. I know it sounds crass, but if we have your email address, we can send you the information. We can, and then you can pick and choose how you want to engage with us as well.
Make sure you're signed up.
Yeah,
IrishWhiskeyExperiences.com.
is the key. The website that's there at the minute is just literally a holding page.
Just a holding page.
It's not anything spectacular. It's just a holding page explaining some of the theories behind what we're doing, and then some of the experiences that we're going to be coming up.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
So last Whiskey Bus,
Yep.
we announced it live on the Shebeen.
Yep.
We took the names.
Yep.
We were oversubscribed within an hour.
Yeah.
Tony has a good question. If we go live on the 30th, which is a Sunday, that night is a Shebeen.
Yeah.
Should everyone be allowed to sign up that night? Now, or does that rule out people who can't be live on a shebeen? Like, how do you do it?
It does, yeah. Look, I think there's an element of, I mean, again, not everybody who would have probably signed up on the night, you know, their circumstances might have changed or their availability would have changed and they might have been able to go then when, you know, the dates were announced and all that sort of stuff. There would be consideration given to it, I think is the best way to describe it, but I don't know if we could sort of, because I think it is, we are trying to be as fair to as many people as possible. You know, prior commitments, they mightn't be available on the 30th.
How do you best, like, that's such a challenge for us. I struggle with this myself, like, even with our own whiskey that we released, which was trying to make it as fair as possible. I don't want it to be a first come, first serve because people just buy it out.
Ballots, apparently. Ballots are the key.
No, I don't like ballots either. I'd rather hand manage it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is the best way to say we'll reveal the itinerary on the 30th and maybe the next day, during the day, we go live with bookings?
Look, I think we can take expressions of interest from people on the night. I mean, again,
Okay.
you know, and then we can follow it up and say, look, here is now the link to, if you want to book it, pay your deposit, here's where you go. But I think, look, I'd be happy to take expressions of interest from people. Again, the problem with a whiskey bus, or not the problem, is that it's still only 40 people maximum. I mean, the buses are 52-seater buses, but that's not our limiting factor. Our limiting factor is the actual distilleries themselves.
Pubs.
Health and safety is just literally getting...
She's after knocking over half the pub right now.
Is literally moving the people around the distilleries, moving people around in pubs. We can't just all rock up to the door of any of the bars that were in the area. So if we're in Galway or if we're in Dublin, we can't just, you know, rock up on a Saturday night with 40 people and 50 people and expect to walk in the door. So there is those challenges for us. As I say, even with Bushmills, as big as a campus as it is, we still had to split the group into two. Teelings, we still had to split the group into two.
It's just health and safety.
You imagine going to somewhere like Waylock or Killone or somewhere like that it's just so small, so boutique that you just couldn't put 50 people in.
Yeah.
So again, they're the challenges that we face. So, you know,
We'll figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll communicate it.
I think the best way is, and again, that's the thing, we're always open to people communicating, reaching out to us. Our email address, again, if people do want to reach out to Irish Whiskey Experiences, is info@irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. They can send us an email. If they have anything that they're looking to do, send an email there. Lauren, hopefully, you know, when she sobers up, she might be able to respond to them. Sorry, Lauren, sorry. But she can respond to them.
Don't email her in the morning.
Yeah. After breakfast.
You can email me in the morning. I'll be fine. Thank you.
She's fine now. In fact, give her all the emails now.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure she answers before she goes to bed.
Absolutely. Send any request that you have now. And the more difficult, the better. If there's llamas involved, helicopters.
Llamas are no problem.
Couple of questions there, folks. Is July 30th for Whiskey Bus 3? So, Cheryl, we're launching our Irish Whiskey Experiences generally on the July 30th. The Whiskey Bus number 3 is one of them. There'll also be a domestic whiskey bus. There'll be a couple of available at all times experiences. But yes, we'll go live the night of July 30th. We'll share the details of our Whiskey Bus number 3. We'll allow you to submit expressions of interest, and it'll be more or less first come, first served, whether you were on a previous trip or not, just because we're trying to make it as fair as possible, get as many people involved.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Another question, Mike wants to know what's happening in Shelburne during Whiskey Bus 2. Mike, we'll share all that soon, and then some things we'll keep secret. We want to try and we're still finalizing details and getting brands involved, and there's lots of moving pieces. Lauren's working very hard on this piece with Cork at the moment, so we will share some details for you. FYI, just one more point there, Andy. On Whiskey Bus number 2, for those of you who are signed up for it for August, you're going to get an email from us next week with a link to a waiver and a link to fill out your final dietary requirements and your flight details. Some of you will have submitted them before, but I know we've already had some flight changes from people. So we're going to put out another email. We're going to introduce Lauren through an email, who you will be dealing with from a logistical standpoint going forward. and we ask that you just share with us your flight details, your dietary requirements, sign the waiver as a standard for legal reasons.
Just on something
Yeah.
there, does that mean that this year I don't have to be at Dublin Airport?
No, you do have to be at Dublin Airport
You do. Yeah.
because you've got the access to all the good taxis.
We'll be at the hotel.
It's Uber, lads. It's not complicated.
How do you spell this? I've heard of it.
We'll be at the hotel.
Can we not?
I love the way you just will be at the hotel.
Yeah.
Can you not burden our lovely guests with our own?
With the
with our own
logistics.
logistics?
Yeah.
Internal domestics.
Like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure
I
it out.
think Lauren should be there. I think
I
people
did
expect-
actually in the itinerary. I did suggest I was at the airport. Not
Okay,
lying.
let's not have Lauren at the
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for a great night. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us. Lauren is going to be part of our Shebeens going forward, which is great news for me.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So outside of Whiskey Experiences, Lauren is going to help craft the plan for our Shebeens and co-host with me. Anthony's going to be busy running a whiskey auction company and a pub
and a few other bits.
and a few other bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And he will be joining us on occasion, but it'll be me and Lauren doing the Shebeens going forward, if you're up for it.
No.
She signed a contract that is basically like indentured servitude for the rest of her life.
Yeah, it is. Just on what we were talking about with the signing up. I mean, again, if people reach out to us, if they have any questions about any of the experiences, anything that they'd like to do, make sure they're sending us an email at info@irishwhiskeyexperiences.com.
Instagram, Irish Whiskey Experiences.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many channels of communication open now these days
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
not
Smoke signal.
pigeons.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrier
Mule.
pigeons.
That's you.
There's the arse over there. Folks, thank you for a great night. We're going to wrap it up here. We've got whiskey to clear off the shelf and drink. And we would.
The Redbreast 27 doesn't need to be.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna-
No, we're going to open that.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, listen, thank you so much, everybody. We'll be back next week with another Shebeen. Sláinte, everybody. And we will be in touch very soon. Cheers. Sláinte.
Cheers, everyone.
Good luck. Good night.
All right, we're still live there now. We're going to go.